Chapter 534. Sarkaz inadvertently glanced at the Snowy Night Emperor with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Do you think you're smart enough to rope in the martial spirit palace? If the Dragon King Hall belonged to someone else, Sarkaz would definitely be furious at the sight of it allying with the imperial family of the Heaven Do Empire. However, the Dragon King Hall was the one he wanted to rope in. Sarkaz wanted to laugh in his heart. Lu Yuan was the holy son of the martial Soul Palace and the future Supreme Pontiff. How could he rope him in? Sarkaz couldn't help but praise Lu Yuan in his heart as he scolded the Snowy Night Emperor. As expected of the Holy Son. His methods were extraordinary. Perhaps he had already anticipated that the imperial family of the Heaven Do Empire would try to rope him in when he established the Dragon King Hall. When the time came, he would take advantage of the opportunity to enter the center of power of the Heaven Do Empire. Then, he would collaborate with young Mistress Cher. It would be a piece of cake for him to overthrow the entire Heaven Do Empire. Sarkaz couldn't help but smile as he thought about this. He stroked his beard gently as he thought about the longevity pill. Since this item was refined by His Highness, then if Sarkaz did his job well, he might be rewarded by His Highness. Sarkaz had heard that His Highness was never stingy with rewards for his subordinates, so perhaps he would have the opportunity to do so. When he thought about how he would be able to sit comfortably in the position of Platinum Bishop for another 10 or 20 years after taking the longevity pill, he decided to wholeheartedly pledge his loyalty to His Highness the Holy Son and become his most loyal bootlicker. This was the truest thought in Sarkaz's mind. Douluo smiled in response to the Snowy Night Emperor's question. Since you want to meet with the Palace Master, I'm sure the Palace Master would be honored. However, the Dragon King Hall is currently in the midst of the competition. I can't say for sure when the Palace Master will be free. Hihi, that's fine. It won't be too late for us to meet when Palace Master Lu is free. If Palace Master Lu is free, you can ask Sect Master Ning to pass the message to me. I'll be free at any time. The Snowy Night Emperor chuckled. All right. It's settled then. Douluo nodded in agreement. After receiving Douluo's reply, the Snowy Night Emperor was elated. He turned to Sarkaz and asked, Bishop Sarkaz, why aren't you saying anything? You don't look well. Could it be that you're not feeling well? If you are not in good health, I have a few good healers here. If not, Lord Lu of the Dragon King Palace has superb alchemy skills. If he can help you, maybe he can help you recuperate. Of the Snowy Night Emperor felt that the palace of Dragon King. Of the Snowy Night Emperor. Was the Snow-off Knight of Emperor was of Dragon of Emperor. Of the Emperor of Emperor of the Emperor of the Emperors. But to be sure, he wanted to use Sarkaz to make the relationship between the Dragon King Palace and the Martial Soul Palace strained. This was also the reason why he mentioned Lu Yuan on purpose. He wanted to create the impression that the Dragon King Palace and the Heaven Do Empire were on the same side. At the same time, he wanted Sarkaz to dislike the Dragon King Palace. He might not be able to recruit the Dragon King Palace, but he didn't want to see the Dragon King Palace and the Martial Soul Palace together. He was just taking precautions. To be fair, the Snowy Night Emperor had lived for so long and was also an emperor. He had some tricks up his sleeves. Sarkaz naturally understood the Snowy Night Emperor's intentions. He laughed in his heart and put on a straight face. Emperor, you should take care of your body first. He turned his head away with an angry look on his face. That old man, Sarkaz, also had some good acting skills. They are all actors. Let's see who is better. As for Douluo and Ning Fengji, they sat quietly by the side without saying a word. As for what they were thinking, only they themselves knew. On the stage, everyone from the Tsunghue Academy couldn't help but swallow their saliva when they saw the Heavenly Star Battle Team's best combination of soul rings. For a moment, they were trembling. Just as Lu Yuan expected, the Tsunghue Academy didn't plan to use their 7-person fusion technique in the first round. So, they left 2 important soul masters below. The first round was against the Heavenly Star Battle Team that the 2 big shots thought highly of. They didn't plan to win at all and chose to hide their trump cards. But what he did not expect was that the strength of the Heavenly Star Academy's team was actually this strong. Standing in front of them, he could feel the pervasive imposing manner, as if he was facing a group of ferocious beasts. The oppressive force was really too terrifying. On the other side, the Heavenly Star battle team was different. Their eyes were filled with disdain. Looking at the soul ring combination of the Tsanghui Academy team, a soul ancestor and 6 soul elders, Fu Qinsheng didn't put them in their eyes at all. Begin, Fu Qinsheng ordered. With a light flick of his finger, invisible sound waves turned into layers of sound waves and spread out. Hearing this, Wang Qiu'er and Ling Wei rushed out at the first moment. Their bodies were like lightning as they pounced towards the Tsanghui Academy team. The first of the 9 treasures is strength. The second of the 9 treasures is speed. Ning Rongrong recited the incantation, and 2 streaks of flowing light engulfed Wang Qiu'er and Ling Wei. Every time the 9 treasures glazed pagoda had an additional soul ring, the amplification of all skills would increase by 10%. Originally, when Ning Rongrong was a soul grandmaster, her first 2 skills could only increase her soul power and speed by 30% each. But now that she was at rank 40, the amplification had increased to 50%. This was definitely a terrifying number. With Ning Rongrong's amplification, Wang Qiu'er's rank 47 soul power surged again, nearing the Soul King rank. Ling Wei's aura also increased greatly. A pair of sharp claws shone with cold light. He raised his right hand and slapped down on a Tsanghui Academy student. Jiang Zhu, use your healing skill. Fu Qinsheng's voice sounded. Yes. Jiang Zhu nodded and her first yellow soul ring lit up. Her first soul skill, Healing Halo, was released. A white healing halo filled the entire arena. This healing halo wasn't for her own people, but for the Tsanghui Academy team. As for why? Just look at the battle situation and you'll know. Second soul skill, Dragon's Strength. Wang Qiu'er punched out and directly broke the defense of a Tsanghui Academy team member, sending him flying with a punch. Even the 2 people standing behind him were sent flying to one side. Second soul skill, Raging Bear Claw. Ling Wei slapped down with his claws and slammed a Tsanghui Academy team member who couldn't escape in time to the ground. The sharp bear claws left a deep wound on his body and blood immediately flowed out. Chapter 535. These 2 fellows are too violent. Is there a need for me to make a move? Dugu Yang's mouth twitched as she watched Wang Qiu'er and Ling Wei, who had been strengthened by the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, beat up the 7 opponents. I don't think there's a need. Jing Ling suppressed his desire to make a move. Originally, he wanted to make a move, but after seeing their violent attacks, he felt that it was better for him to stay here. It seems like Tsanghui Academy is a little useless, Ning Rongrong said softly as she used her soul skills to support Wang Qiu'er and Ling Wei. It's not just a little useless, it's quite useless. Dugu Yang's voice rang out. All right, let's not talk about it anymore. Jing Ling, you should go up too. I have to prepare for the final attack. As for Dugu Yang, just watch. Your skills are poisonous. Now that we're sure to win, there's no need for you to make a move. Fu Qinsheng said. Hearing this, Dugu Yang nodded slightly. Then I'll go. Jing Ling said. Okay, go. Fu Qinsheng nodded slightly. Jing Ling's body flashed and turned into an afterimage as he pounced in the direction of Tsanghui Academy. Seeing this, Ning Rongrong pointed with her finger and a flowing light wrapped around Jing Ling instantly. Jing Ling's speed increased greatly. After a year of hard work, Ning Rongrong had cultivated the 7 treasures glazed sex distraction control technique to the 4 apertures constant heart. She could use different amplification skills on 4 people at the same time. Wang Qiu'er and Ling Wei were both assault-type soul masters, so both of them had amplification skills on them. Jing Ling was an agility-type soul master, so he only had amplification skills on him. As for why he didn't use the last 2 soul skills, it was because there was no need to deal with Tsanghui Academy. As soon as Jing Ling went up, he entangled a member of Tsanghui Academy and suppressed him. Ling Wei surrounded the 3 soul exalts and beat them up 1 against 3. Wang Qiu'er even suppressed Tsanghui Academy's team leader, the only soul ancestor, and the other 2 soul elders. She punched them from time to time, causing them to spit out blood and fly backwards. However, Wang Qiu'er still held back. At least no one was seriously injured. However, if they were to continue fighting like this, even though they would win sooner or later, they might not have enough time. 1 minute. Fu Qinsheng sighed softly, and the second 100-year soul ring suddenly lit up. It was the second soul skill of the 6-stringed demonic zither, spiritual sluggish. This skill wasn't used against the physical body, but against a person's soul. It could slow down a person's mental reaction speed, and once a person's mental reaction speed slowed down, their own speed would naturally slow down as well. Under the control of zither sheng, these zither sounds with rich spiritual fluctuations filled the entire arena. Affected by the sound of the zither, the people from Tsonghui Academy suddenly slowed down. Because the Guqin music was controlled by Qinsheng's spiritual power, these Guqin music ignored Wang Qiu'er and the others, and didn't enter their minds. As an outstanding spiritual-type soul master, Fu Qinsheng was still able to do this. From the very beginning, his spiritual power had already permeated the entire arena. Mental-type control skills tested one's control the most, because it was easy to accidentally injure one's own people. If the skill couldn't distinguish between friend and foe, then what was the use of it? After Fu Qinsheng's special control, only the people from Tsonghui Academy were affected. Ling Wei and the others weren't affected at all. Seeing that the people from Tsonghui Academy were affected, Wang Qiu'er and the others took advantage of this opportunity. Third soul skill, Golden Dragon Head. Wang Qiu'er shouted, and her small fist punched out. A golden dragon head about a foot long appeared above her fist, and the dragon head flew out, blasting the 3 people from Tsonghui Academy, including the team leader, off the stage. The 3 of them were hit by Wang Qiu'er's fist, and they spat out blood as they flew back. When they landed on the ground, they immediately fainted. On the other side, Ling Wei shouted, first soul skill, Terror Claws Addiction. The dark golden claws blasted the other 3 soul elders from Tsonghui Academy, who were slowed down, off the stage as well. Just as Ling Wei finished his move, Jing Ling also kicked her opponent out of the field. The battle ended here. The few of them didn't hit hard, but they didn't show mercy either. According to Lu Yuan, the people from Tsonghui Academy weren't good people. Furthermore, there was a 1-minute time limit, and the few of them were rushing for time. Naturally, their attacks were more powerful. Although the people from Tsonghui Academy weren't in mortal danger, they were all seriously injured. At the very least, they wouldn't be able to compete in the next few matches. Seeing this scene, their teacher, Shen Yan, had a dark expression on his face. He looked in the direction of Lu Yuan and the others, and there was a dark resentment in his eyes. Ah, Shen Yan? Lu Yuan's senses were very sharp, and Shen Yan's gaze immediately caught his attention. I hope you don't want to die. Lu Yuan sighed softly, and a light flashed across his eyes. The battle has ended. The Heavenly Star Academy is victorious. Let us congratulate them. The moment the battle ended, the MC's voice rang out. Brother, how long did we take? No one paid attention to the MC's announcement of victory. Instead, they all looked at Lu Yuan, and Wang Qiu'er directly asked. Looking at the 7 people's expectant faces, especially Wang Qiu'er's sparkling eyes, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, Congratulations, you only took 59 seconds. Phew. Hearing this, the 7 people exhaled at the same time. 59 seconds. Luckily, we were 1 second away from a full minute. If we exceeded a minute, we would have been punished. Ning Rongrong patted her small chest and said softly with a look of relief. However, although Ning Rongrong's voice was soft, many of the spectators and the people in the VIP area were basically soul masters. Although Ning Rongrong's voice wasn't loud, they still heard it. Immediately, the corners of their mouths twitched slightly. A strange look flashed across their eyes as they looked at Lu Yuan. This guy was a little too arrogant. He actually wanted to finish off the opponent in a minute. Furthermore, if the team members exceeded the time limit, they would be punished. What kind of madness was this? However, although he was arrogant, the Heavenly Star Academy really did have the ability to end the battle in a minute. When they thought of this, they couldn't help but sigh. The Heavenly Star Academy's battle strength was still strong. The angriest person was naturally Shen Yan. His face was originally gloomy, but now it was as black as the bottom of a pot. Mother **K, they had set a rule that the battle could not exceed 1 minute before the battle even started. How much did they look down on their Tsunghui Academy? Looking at his own students who were either injured or unconscious, Shenyan's eyes could not help but emit a fierce glint. Chapter 536. Elder Brother, how was Qiu'er's performance? Wang Qiu'er pounced over as soon as she got off the stage. She hugged Lu Yuan's arm, and there was a look of anticipation on her face. Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile when he saw Wang Qiu'er like this. He pinched Wang Qiu'er's little face and said, "Little Qiu'er performed very well. No wonder you're my little sister. Hee hee." After receiving Lu Yuan's praise, Wang Qiu'er was like a little kid who had received candy. Her smile was exceptionally sweet, and coupled with her rosy cheeks, she looked very cute. Lu Yuan smiled as he rubbed Wang Qiu'er's head. He turned to everyone else and said, "Let's go, everyone. You all performed well today. Although your opponents were a little weak, your performances were undoubtedly very good. To celebrate our victory at the start of the match, I'll treat everyone to a good meal at the Star Blue Hotel. I hope everyone can perform as well as you did today." "Yeah, Captain is so generous." Everyone cheered when they heard that Lu Yuan wanted to treat everyone to a meal at the Star Blue Hotel, which was the most luxurious hotel in Heavendoe Imperial City. The cost of living at the Star Blue Hotel was very high. Those who didn't have any money to spare couldn't afford to go to such a place. Among the people present, excluding Lu Yuan, only Ning Rongrong, the little rich lady, had enough financial power to frequent such places. Everyone else, including Fu Qinsheng and Dugu Yang, rarely had the chance to go to the Star Blue Hotel. After all, the Zither sect wasn't a very rich sect. Dugu Bo was a titled Douluo, but he didn't have much money. Dugu Yang didn't have to worry about food and clothing, but she didn't go to such a luxurious place often. As for Jiang Zhu, Jing Ling, and the rest, they were from ordinary families. There was no need to mention them. Hence, they were very happy when they heard that Lu Yuan wanted to treat everyone to a meal at the Star Blue Hotel. "Let's go then." Lu Yuan smiled when he saw everyone cheering. "Yes, Captain." Everyone replied in unison. Under Lu Yuan's lead, everyone left the arena. Since the match was over, there was no need to stay. Today, only one division had been opened. The first round of the qualifiers simply couldn't be completed. At the very least, they would have to wait until the fourth division had been opened before they could finish the first round. As for the second round of qualifiers, it should be held the day after tomorrow. Therefore, Lu Yuan boldly led everyone to eat and drink. As for watching the competition and collecting information, there was no need for that at all. Don't ask. If you ask, you are strong. It couldn't be helped. Those who were strong could be so willful. After celebrating with everyone returned to the academy. Lu Yuan brought Zhu Zhuqing and Wang Qiu'er back to the Dragon King Hall. Because there was someone who wanted to meet him. The next day. In the Dragon King Palace, Lu Yuan took a sip of tea and looked at the beautiful woman in front of him with a calm expression. "Hallmaster Lu, I've heard a lot about you. It's my honor to meet you today." The beautiful woman looked at Lu Yuan and smiled. "Sect leader Yi, I heard from Elder Dugu that you have conditions that you want to discuss with me face to face. What are they?" Lu Yuan looked at the beautiful woman in front of him and asked plainly. It turned out that this beautiful woman was the current sect leader of the Nine-Hearted Begonia sect, Yi Lingsu. She was a rank 82 soul Douluo. It was rumored that Ning Fengji was the best auxiliary-type soulmaster on the continent. However, that was because the Seven Treasures Glazed sect was one of the top 3 sects. However, the Nine-Hearted Begonia sect only had 2 people. They couldn't even be considered a sect. Therefore, Ning Fengji was much more famous than Yi Lingsu. However, Yi Lingsu's auxiliary-type abilities weren't inferior to Ning Fengji's. In fact, Yi Lingsu's auxiliary-type abilities might even be more frightening due to her rank advantage. However, no matter how strong her auxiliary-type abilities were, she was still an auxiliary-type soulmaster. Even if she was an auxiliary-type soul Douluo, she still didn't have much fighting strength. Therefore, The nine-hearted begonia sect situation hadn't been good all this time. Because of their frightening healing abilities, other organizations were jealous of them. If Yi Lingsu didn't have some tricks up her sleeves, she might not have been able to hold on until now. Therefore, she was a little tempted when Douluo Bo invited her to join the Dragon King Palace. If the nine-hearted begonia sect didn't want to be swallowed up, they needed someone to protect them. The Dragon King Palace undoubtedly had enough power. However, the Dragon King Palace was also a Soul Master organization. Although the Dragon King Palace's policies were good and they treated their own people very well, Yi Lingsu still had some lingering fears after being pressured so many times. Therefore, she was always hesitant. After hearing from Douluo Bo that the Dragon King Palace had a young palace master, Yi Lingsu couldn't help but have some thoughts. She was already old, and her life was almost over. However, her daughter was still young, and she needed someone to protect her. Just like how the other half of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect's direct disciples had to be a soul warrior, every successor of the nine-hearted begonia sect had to find a soul warrior as their spouse to ensure that the nine-hearted begonia sect's lineage could continue smoothly. Her husband had passed away, and she had no one to protect her. That was why she was in such a situation. Therefore, she wanted to meet Lu Yuan. If Lu Yuan was really talented, perhaps marrying her daughter to him would be a good choice. After all, the Dragon King Palace now had the support of several titled Douluo. It was already one of the superpowers on the continent. As the palace master of the Dragon King Palace, Lu Yuan's status could be said to be very prominent. Every move he made could affect the situation of the entire continent. It was not difficult for someone like him to protect her daughter. She also believed that her daughter was definitely worthy of Lu Yuan, as she had the nine-hearted begonia sect's martial soul, which was even more supportive than the Seven Treasures Glazed pagoda. Furthermore, her daughter was so beautiful. She didn't have to worry about men not liking her. Therefore, the only question left was what kind of person Lu Yuan was. Could he satisfy her wish for a son-in-law? However, she had a very good impression of Lu Yuan after meeting him today. She was very satisfied with this young man. Needless to say, his looks were definitely top-notch. In fact, he was so handsome that it was a little beyond imagination. Coupled with the ethereal aura of a banished immortal, he added a lot of charm to his looks. Yi Lingsu had to admit that she had never seen such a handsome young man in her life. Even a middle-aged woman like her, who was already married and had a child who was already 18 or 19 years old, was a little dazzled by him. If she were 20 years younger, she might have really fallen in love with Lu Yuan the moment she saw him. Humans were sensory animals. Whether it was a man or a woman, their first impression of good-looking people would undoubtedly be much better. Yi Lingsu's first impression of Lu Yuan was undoubtedly very good. Chapter 537. Other than Lu Yuan's looks, Yi Lingsu also admired Lu Yuan's character. He didn't have the recklessness and impatience of a youth. He was very calm, and his eyes were calm and deep. They were like a quiet lake, so calm that there weren't any ripples. When facing her, his actions were polite and courteous. He was also natural and unrestrained when dealing with people and things. The maturity and experience he showed was not like a young man at all. Furthermore, this youth's talent and strength weren't ordinary. According to Douluo Bo's rumors, this youth was already a Soul King. Yi Lingsu had never heard of such a young Soul King before. This youth was a true prodigy. Also, the longevity pill, ageless pill, and other miraculous pills that were circulating in the medicine hall seemed to have been refined by this youth. Also, the soul tool that allowed auxiliary-type soul masters to have the fighting strength of a battle soul master seemed to have been refined by this youth. This youth's talent couldn't be expressed in words. In short, Yi Lingsu liked Lu Yuan no matter how she looked at him. That thought in her heart was getting more and more restless. Lu Yuan couldn't help but frown when he saw Yi Lingsu looking at him with a strange gaze. Under her gaze, Lu Yuan felt as if he had become an ornament, allowing her to size him up as she wished. Furthermore, Yi Lingsu's eyes would occasionally emit a strange light when she looked at him. This made him feel as if she had some bad intentions towards him. Lu Yuan was a little upset, but he did not show it. After so many years of experience, he could control his emotions very well. Unless he encountered something very important or something that involved someone very close to him, his expression would usually be so calm and emotionless under normal circumstances. Sect leader Yi, what conditions do you have for asking me to meet you personally? You can tell me now. Seeing that Yi Lingsu was still sizing him up, Lu Yuan frowned ever so slightly and asked softly, "What are you talking about?" Hearing Lu Yuan's question again, Yi Lingsu finally reacted. She stared at Lu Yuan's face and her lips curled into a smile. "I've long heard that Palace Master Lu is handsome and talented. Now that I've met you today, you really live up to your reputation." Yi Lingsu smiled gently and said, "This time, I do have a condition for meeting you. If you can fulfill this condition, I will be at your beck and call from now on." "Then I don't know what your request is." "Sect Master Yi, as long as it's within my ability and doesn't go against my bottom line, I can promise you anything," Lu Yuan said softly. "Hehe, this is definitely within the scope of your ability, Hall Master Lu. Moreover, it's very simple to do. You just have to say yes," Yi Lingsu said with a smile. "Oh, what is it?" Hearing Yi Lingsu's words, Lu Yuan's interest was piqued. "Hehe, what does Hall Master Lu think of my daughter, Yi Lingling?" Yi Lingsu asked with a smile. "Hey!" Lu Yuan couldn't help but look outside the hall. Zhu Zhuqing was accompanying Yi Lingling. Yi Lingling had brought Yi Lingling with her today. But because Lu Yuan and Yi Lingling had something important to discuss, Lu Yuan had Zhu Zhuqing accompany Yi Lingling outside the hall. Hearing Yi Lingsu's words, Lu Yuan was puzzled. What did this woman mean by asking this? But even though he didn't know what Yi Lingsu wanted to do, Lu Yuan still answered truthfully. "Miss Yi Lingling is talented, beautiful, and has an extraordinary temperament. She is a very outstanding girl." Yi Lingling was indeed very talented. At the age of 18, she was already a soul ancestor. One had to know that she was an auxiliary-type soul master. To be able to become a soul ancestor at the age of 18 without any external help, Yi Lingling was definitely a top-notch genius. Moreover, Yi Lingling was also quite good-looking. She had a beautiful face, a graceful figure, and a pair of slender legs that were particularly eye-catching. The cold temperament she exuded was somewhat similar to Zhu Zhuqing's. If 10 was a perfect score, this girl would be at least a 9. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Yi Lingsu chuckled. There was a hint of joy in her smile. "I would like to betroth my daughter to Hall Master Lu. What do you think?" Yi Lingsu asked with a smile. Hearing Yi Lingsu's words, Lu Yuan couldn't help but be stunned. What did this woman just say? "Headmaster Yi, may I ask what you just said? I didn't hear you clearly." Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask again. He suspected that he was hallucinating. "Haha, I just said that I would like to betroth my daughter to Hall Master Lu. What do you think, Hall Master Lu?" Yi Lingsu chuckled. "Betroth Miss Yi to me?" This time, Lu Yuan heard it clearly. He wasn't hallucinating. This woman really did want to marry her daughter to him. So this is the condition for Headmaster Yi to join the Dragon King Hall? Lu Yuan tapped his finger lightly on the table as he asked. "That's right. This is my only condition. As long as Hall Master Lu marries my daughter, we will naturally become in-laws. Then, I will naturally be at Hall Master Lu's beck and call." Yi Lingsu blinked her eyes and smiled. "Haha, Headmaster Yi is really interesting. Others join the Dragon King Hall as my subordinates. You have a good idea. You actually want to be my mother-in-law." Lu Yuan chuckled. "What do you think, Hall Master Lu?" Yi Lingsu asked. Lu Yuan didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, "Headmaster Yi should know that I already have a girlfriend. Furthermore, she's outside right now. Haha, I don't care about that. The strong are revered in the Douluo continent. It's normal to have multiple wives. With Hall Master Lu's status, it's very normal for you to have 2 wives." Yi Lingsu said. "Is it very normal? But what if I say that I have more than one girlfriend?" Lu Yuan asked. Yi Lingsu's expression changed slightly when she heard this. "Then how many girlfriends does Hall Master Lu have?" "Currently, it's 4. Lu Yuan said. 4. Yi Lingsu couldn't help but frown when she heard Lu Yuan's words. 4 girlfriends is a little too many. However, when she saw Lu Yuan's stunning looks and thought about his shocking talent and identity as the Dragon King Hall's hallmaster, Yi Lingsu came to a realization. It couldn't be more normal for a man like him to have 4 girlfriends. It was even possible that the 4 girlfriends he had were specially controlled. Otherwise, there could be more. After all, even she wanted to marry her daughter to Lu Yuan when she saw him. It was hard to guarantee that the others didn't have the same thoughts. However, if Lu Yuan already had 4 girlfriends, wouldn't Yi Lingling be his 5th wife after marrying him? Yi Lingsu couldn't accept this. Chapter 538. How is it? Does Sect Master Yi still want to betroth Miss Yi to me? Lu Yuan tapped his finger on the table, a strange smile on his face. Hearing this, Yi Lingsu fell silent. She was naturally unwilling to let her daughter be the 5th child. But on the other hand, Lu Yuan was too outstanding. He was indeed a good match for her daughter. If she could marry Lu Yuan, Yi Lingling would have a guarantee for the rest of her life. The 9-hearted begonia would also be able to be passed down smoothly. Moreover, with Lu Yuan's current status, once Yi Lingling married him, her social status would skyrocket and she would become one of the top figures in the continent. There was no doubt that with the current prestige of the Dragon King Palace, if Yi Lingling could become the wife of the Palace Lord, even the current Emperor of Snowy Night would have to show her some respect. Yi Lingsu had stayed in the Dragon King Hall for a period of time. She knew some news about the Medicine Hall and the Soul Tool Hall. The Dragon King Hall had pills and soul tools. It would definitely soar in the future. It might even become the strongest sect in the world. How could she not want to join such a large and luxurious cruise ship? Therefore, she was not only concerned about letting her daughter be a concubine, but she also could not bear to part with Lu Yuan. Her heart was very complicated. Looking at Yi Lingsu's silent appearance, Lu Yuan could not help but shake his head. This woman really knew how to think. She actually wanted to marry Yi Lingling to him so that he could protect the 9-hearted begonia. Furthermore, she could use Yi Lingling to elevate her status in the Dragon King Hall. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, was it so easy to take advantage of Lu Yuan? It had always been him taking advantage of others. No one had ever taken advantage of him without paying a price. After Dugu Bofu obtained the poison pill, he was able to control the poison in his body, and his strength increased greatly. However, the price was that he would be under Lu Yuan's control for the rest of his life. Look at him now, he is still helping Lu Yuan guard the Medicine Hall. Another example was Ning Fengji. He had obtained a soul tool from Lu Yuan, which allowed his direct descendants to possess fighting strength comparable to that of a soul warrior. But what were the consequences? The consequence was that the 7 Treasures Glazed sect would be restricted by the Dragon King Hall. Without the supply of soul tools, the 7 Treasures Glazed sect would return to its original state. After all, only Lu Yuan knew how to use soul tools. And most importantly, Lu Yuan was very disgusted with this kind of political marriage. If Lu Yuan was willing to do so, he could have taken Ning Rongrong in as early as 2 years ago. There was no need to hesitate until now. It wasn't as if Ning Fengji, that sly old fox, didn't have any thoughts of forming a marriage alliance. It was just that he was smart and took the emotional route. Wherever Lu Yuan went, he would send his daughter there, using true feelings to influence her. After all, people's hearts were made of flesh. Moreover, Lu Yuan was a person who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. It was easy for him to be soft-hearted towards women, especially those beautiful women. In the beginning, he didn't have any feelings for Ning Rongrong at all. He even rejected her outright. But from 2 years ago until now, Ning Rongrong's feelings for him were getting deeper and deeper. He saw it all. He wasn't a cold-hearted person. Faced with such feelings, he was naturally touched. It was just that he still had some misgivings in his heart. But no matter what, Ning Fengji's methods were effective. Didn't Lu Yuan know what Ning Fengji was thinking? No, he knew. He had always known. It was just that Ning Fengji's methods were brilliant and didn't make others feel disgusted. He wasn't like Yi Lingsu, who obviously put the political marriage on the table to discuss. This made Lu Yuan very angry. It was just that he was good at maintaining his composure and didn't show his emotions on his face. However, as his mentality changed, his tone became a little more forceful. Sect leader Yi, I'm waiting for your reply. Lu Yuan tapped his fingers on the table and looked at Yi Lingsu calmly. A formless pressure instantly spread. Lu Yuan's voice sounded, and immediately woke Yi Lingsu up from her thoughts. Facing Lu Yuan's calm yet somewhat intimidating gaze, Yi Lingsu felt a rare sense of nervousness in her heart. Although she was an auxiliary-type soul master, her soul power was still at rank 82. But she felt a lot of pressure from Lu Yuan. This made her feel quite shocked. Looking at the young lord of the Dragon King Palace again, he seemed to have changed into another person. Originally, he was a modest gentleman, gentle as jade, courteous. But now, he gave her the feeling of a high and mighty emperor. He gave off a majestic aura that made it difficult for others to look at him directly. Was this the true face of this young man? Lu, sect leader Lu. Yi Lingsu opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but she was interrupted by Lu Yuan. Let's not talk nonsense. Sect leader Yi, you haven't told me what you think. Now that you know that I have 4 close female friends, are you still willing to marry Miss Yi Lingling to me as a concubine? Lu Yuan asked plainly. This. Yi Lingsu was a little speechless when she met Lu Yuan's gaze. Ah, you want to marry me, but you don't want to be a concubine. Do you want to be a concubine? Sect leader Yi, you're dreaming. Even sect leader Ning of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect doesn't have such thoughts. He doesn't want his daughter to be a concubine. I don't know where you get your confidence from, sect leader Yi. Seeing that Yi Lingsu's expression had turned a little ugly, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, to tell you the truth, although I'm a playboy with 4 close female friends, I still respect every relationship. My love for them is real. I hate political marriages the most, because relationships aren't something to be bought or traded. You want me to marry Miss Yi Lingling just like that? Have you considered your daughter's feelings? Or is it that this kind of political marriage has become the norm for your sects? As long as the sect can continue, sacrificing the feelings of your daughter doesn't matter, right? Lu Yuan looked straight at Yi Lingsu as he spoke. After being questioned by Lu Yuan, Yi Lingsu opened her mouth. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't say anything. To be honest, she didn't feel that her actions were wrong. This was because on the Douluo continent, for sects like them, this was a common occurrence. Even her own daughter, Yi Lingling, wasn't disgusted by her actions. This was because she had asked for her daughter's opinion, and her daughter had expressed her understanding. However, she didn't expect the Dragon King Hall Master to be so resistant to political marriages. Furthermore, she didn't know how to answer his question. Was she supposed to admit that she was sacrificing Yi Lingling's feelings? Although that was the truth, she still couldn't bring herself to say it out loud. Therefore, she could only remain silent in the face of Lu Yuan's question. Chapter 539. Looking at the speechless Yi Lingsu, Lu Yuan took another sip of tea and asked plainly, why aren't you saying anything? Since Hallmaster Lu has said so, what else can I say? Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Yi Lingsu smiled bitterly. Ha! Looking at Yi Lingsu's bitter smile, Lu Yuan chuckled softly. Hallmaster Lu, putting aside the marriage, what do you think of my daughter? Yi Lingsu asked softly after a moment of silence. Hearing this, Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly and said, I've said it before. Miss Yi is beautiful, has a cold temperament, and is dignified and generous. She's a very good girl. That's good. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Yi Lingsu smiled faintly. Does sect leader Yi still have thoughts of marriage? If that's the case, then please give up on this idea. I won't accept any political marriage. Lu Yuan's tone was calm, but it was firm and resolute. Since Hallmaster Lu has said so, even if I had such thoughts, I wouldn't dare to mention it in front of Hallmaster Lu. It's just that I, Lingling, as a widow and orphan, have to be bullied again. Yi Lingsu sighed with a pitiful look on her face. Her watery eyes sized up Lu Yuan with a hint of pity in them. She looked so weak and helpless. One had to admit that although Yi Lingsu was old, she was still charming. She didn't look like someone in her 40s at all. Instead, she looked like she was in her late 20s. In addition to her delicate face and voluptuous figure, she exuded a mature and intellectual temperament. Compared to a young girl, she had an indescribable charm. At this moment, her pitiful eyes could really melt a man's heart. Unfortunately, she was facing Lu Yuan, who was used to seeing beautiful women. It wasn't that the honey trap didn't work on Lu Yuan, but it depended on the level of the beauty. As for Yi Lingsu, she was obviously still lacking. Looking at Yi Lingsu's pitiful look, Lu Yuan's face remained calm. His eyes were carefully looking at Yi Lingsu, but his mind was in turmoil. Yi Lingsu was not a simple woman. She had a lot of tricks up her sleeves. Was she trying to gain his sympathy by putting on such a pitiful look because he was young and inexperienced? Or was she using the hot-bloodedness and impatience of a young man to seduce him with her beauty? If it was a young man who saw such a beautiful woman showing such a sad and pitiful expression, perhaps his heart would really soften. But you met me, Lu Xian, so you are destined to return empty-handed. Using a honey trap on me, do you think you're old? At best, you're about the same level as Liu Erlong, or even worse. Liu Erlong is still chaste. Lu Yuan said in his heart. Yi Lingsu's face was filled with a pitiful expression. While showing her pitiful eyes, she was also looking at Lu Yuan's expression. But what disappointed her was that this young man was not affected at all. Looking at her, any man would feel pity for her, but this guy had no reaction at all. Could it be that her charm had decreased recently? Yi Lingsu couldn't help but doubt her own charm. She couldn't even win over a young man. Pretending not to know anything, Lu Yuan purposely asked, with a hint of surprise in his voice, "Sect Master Yi, you mentioned a widow and an orphan. Has your husband passed away?" "Yes, my husband has passed away for a few years. All these years, I've been taking care of Lingling all by myself." Sigh, a widow and an orphan. Without a pillar of support in the family, I don't know how much suffering they've gone through. It's fine if I'm old, but Lingling is still young and has no one to rely on. Yi Lingsu said softly and sighed slightly. The pitiful expression on her face became even more pronounced. "So, you're still thinking of betrothing Yi Lingling to me? Since the marriage failed, you're trying to act pitiful to gain my sympathy? Woman, you sure have a lot of ideas," Lu Yuan thought in his heart. As Yi Lingsu spoke, she was paying attention to Lu Yuan's expression. Just as Lu Yuan thought, she still hadn't given up on the idea of marrying Yi Lingling to Lu Yuan. She had thought it through. Even if she was only the fifth child, it would still be a great advantage for Yi Lingling. Was there anyone better and more outstanding than this young man in front of her in this world? If she missed out on him, would Yi Lingling be able to find a better husband? Absolutely impossible. So, even if her own daughter was the youngest child, she didn't want to give up on Lu Yuan, this peerless rich husband. It was just that Lu Yuan's determination about the marriage shocked her. She had no choice but to resort to this method, which was to act pitiful. Needless to say, her words were really sincere. After all, it wasn't easy for her all these years. When she said these words, it was really easy to move people's hearts. Looking at Yi Lingsu's wonderful performance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but feel a little amused. This Yi Lingsu had been playing tricks on him. Did she really think that he didn't have a temper? As he thought about it, Lu Yuan had a wicked idea. "I heard Sect Master Yi say that there's no longer a pillar of support in your family. Then, have you considered looking for someone to rely on?" Lu Yuan smiled faintly. "Of course. I can see that Hallmaster Lu is very talented. My daughter also." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Yi Lingsu was delighted. She thought that her seduction and acting pitiful had finally worked. She hurriedly spoke. However, she was interrupted by Lu Yuan halfway through her sentence. "Since Sect Master Yi is thinking of looking for someone to rely on, what do you think of Elder Dugu from the Dragon King Hall? Elder Dugu is also a titled Douluo now. Sect leader Yi is still as beautiful as ever. If you can get together with Elder Dugu, I'm sure it'll be a beautiful marriage. Furthermore, you have a titled Douluo to protect you. You and your son will have someone to rely on. How is it? What do you think of my suggestion, Sect Master Yi? Lu Yuan smiled as he asked. This. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Yi Lingsu was stunned. She had thought that her seduction and acting pitiful had moved Lu Yuan, and he had finally agreed to marry her daughter. She didn't expect him to be a matchmaker for her. Furthermore, the matchmaker was Douluo Bo. When she thought of Douluo Bo's old face, Yi Lingsu shuddered and shook her head violently. Why? Is Sect Master Yi not satisfied with Elder Douluo? Do you despise Elder Douluo for being poisonous and having a granddaughter? Are you afraid that Miss Yi will be bullied? After seeing Yi Lingsu shake her head, Lu Yuan stroked his chin with his right hand and said, since that's the case, what do you think of the frenzy rhino Douluo? The frenzy rhino Douluo is still single. He doesn't have any family or children. Furthermore, he's very clean. It's not a bad choice for you to marry him. Chapter 540. What do you think of my suggestion, Sect Leader Yi? Lu Yuan asked with a smile. Yi Lingsu was speechless. Oh, Sect Leader Yi's standards are so high? Even the frenzy rhino Douluo isn't good enough for you? Lu Yuan sized Yi Lingsu up. Sect Leader Yi, although you have a great figure and a beautiful face, don't forget that you're a married woman with a child. The frenzy rhino Douluo is more than enough for you. Don't ask for too much. I'm not. Yi Lingsu hurriedly tried to explain after hearing Lu Yuan's words. However, she was interrupted by Lu Yuan before she could finish. No, what? Don't tell me you don't look down on the frenzy rhino Douluo, Sect Leader Yi? Lu Yuan asked. I really don't mean that. It's just that. Just what? Just that you don't like the frenzy rhino Douluo? Lu Yuan tapped his chin. That's possible. After all, the frenzy rhino Douluo isn't very good looking. If Sect Leader Yi is someone who likes good looks, then he really won't be good enough for you. In terms of looks, among the titled Douluo of the Dragon King Palace, Uncle Yang and Elder Long are quite good looking. Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to Uncle Yang, Sect Leader Yi. Although Uncle Yang has been married before, you've also been married before. It's not impossible for the two of you to be together. Lu Yuan tapped his fingers on the table, making a tapping sound as he spoke softly. If Sect Leader Yi really likes Uncle Yang, I can help you two get together. Lu Yuan smiled as he looked at Yi Lingsu. Thank you for your kind intentions, Palace Leader Lu. However, there's no need for that. I don't have any feelings for the bright phoenix Douluo. Yi Lingsu rejected his offer. Oh. I didn't expect Sect Leader Yi to have such high standards. Even Uncle Yang isn't good enough for you. Lu Yuan clicked his tongue and sighed. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. A look of shock appeared on his face. He looked at Yi Lingsu in disbelief. Could it be that Sect Master Yi has taken a fancy to Elder Long? Elder Long may look like he's in his 60s or 70s, but he's actually more than 200 years old. His son, Yang Shaozhe, or Uncle Yang, is already more than 80 years old. You're actually interested in him? Sigh, the world is really degenerating with each passing day. The hearts of the people are no longer what they used to be. Lu Yuan sighed softly. There was a tinge of melancholy in his voice. It was as if he was lamenting about how society was deteriorating. He also seemed to be extremely displeased and hurt that Yi Lingsu had taken a liking to Long Xiaoyao. Palace Master Lu, no, I didn't. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Yi Lingsu panicked and tried to explain herself. However, she was too agitated and did not know what to say. She suddenly sat down, and a layer of mist could not help but condense in her pair of beautiful big eyes. The people outside bully us orphans and widows, but I didn't expect that Palace Master Lu would also deliberately make fun of me here. Yi Lingsu's voice sounded like she was about to cry. Her tone was filled with grievance. Even though she was scheming and had some tricks up her sleeves, she was still a woman. Furthermore, she was a woman who had lost her husband. Even though she was strong, she was still weak. Lu Yuan's words could be said to have shattered Yi Lingsu's mental fortitude. Thinking about the sufferings that she and her daughter had gone through all these years, She could not help but feel sad. She wanted to cry uncontrollably. Isn't that because you played tricks in front of me first, Sect Master Yi? I sincerely negotiated with Sect Master Yi, but Sect Master Yi, you played tricks on me in every possible way. I am also a human, and I also have a temper. After hearing Yi Lingsu's words, Lu Yuan's expression changed. The shock on his face disappeared without a trace. He regained his composure. Yi Lingsu glanced at Lu Yuan. The mist in her eyes was still gathering. All right, stop crying. I hate seeing women cry the most. Wipe it. A light flashed in Lu Yuan's hand. A clean handkerchief appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. He threw it to Yi Lingsu. Yi Lingsu took the handkerchief. She glanced at Lu Yuan with tears in her eyes. Then, she picked up the handkerchief and wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. People treat me with sincerity, and I treat them with sincerity. However, if anyone wants to play tricks on me, I won't be lenient. Don't judge me by my young age. In terms of scheming, not many people can compare to me. Even Sect Master Ning of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect doesn't dare to play tricks in front of me. Sect Master Yi, you're the first person I've met who dares to seduce me with beauty and act pitiful in front of me. Looking at Yi Lingsu, whose eyes were still red after wiping away her tears, Lu Yuan said faintly, I know what you're thinking and I can understand. After all, you're a woman who's been oppressed. Naturally, you'll be more vigilant. You're worried that the Dragon King Palace will be like other sects. On the surface, they're just trying to rope in the nine-hearted Begonia sect. However, they're secretly trying to swallow your entire sect. Therefore, you simply want to marry your daughter to me. When the time comes, we'll become a family. Even if I have any bad intentions, I won't do it for the sake of my in-laws. On the contrary, I'll do my best to ensure the continuation of the nine-hearted Begonia sect. At the same time, you can use the power of the Dragon King Palace to spread the fame of the nine-hearted Begonia martial spirit. It's killing two birds with one stone. Although I've gained your loyalty, you've already become my mother-in-law. After all, you're my elder. Even if I have any tasks for you, I can't assign you to do them. In this way, the nine-hearted Begonia sect will be protected and your status will be greatly improved. Moreover, you won't have to pay any price. It's a win-win situation. Although Yi Lingling's actions are small, compared to these benefits, it's not a big deal. What do you think, Sect Master Yi? Am I right? Lu Yuan tapped the table lightly, looked at Yi Lingsu, and asked plainly. Hearing this, Yi Lingsu kept silent. She did have such thoughts in her heart. Of course, in addition to these, she was really satisfied with Lu Yuan. Marrying Yi Lingling to Lu Yuan was indeed a good choice. Even now, she still felt the same way. Even the more outstanding Lu Yuan's performance was, the stronger her thoughts were. Looking at the silent Yi Lingsu, Lu Yuan smiled and said again, I'll let go of the tricks Sect Master Yi played just now. The conditions are the same as before. Moreover, I can assure you that the Dragon King Palace will not take anything from the nine-hearted Begonia sect. Of course, that's all. It's impossible to ask for more. With these conditions, I'll ask Sect Master Yi one last time. Are you willing to join the Dragon King Palace? If you're willing, I'll naturally welcome you. If you're not, I'll see you out now. There are only two choices. What's your answer? Lu Yuan said softly as he stared at Yi Lingsu. Looking at Lu Yuan's strong gaze, Yi Lingsu sighed in her heart. She opened her red lips and said plainly, I'm willing to join the Dragon King Palace. Chapter 541. I'm willing to join the Dragon King Palace. Yi Lingsu sighed and said softly when she met Lu Yuan's gaze. Upon hearing Yi Lingsu's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, Welcome, Sect Leader Yi. We're on the same side from now on. I'll hold a meeting to welcome you later. After today, Sect Leader Yi can return to your post in the medicinal hall. After all, you're quite familiar with Senior Dugu. As for the plight of the nine-hearted Begonia sect, leave it to the Dragon King Palace. Since Sect Leader Yi has joined us, we'll naturally protect you. You can rest assured about this. Upon hearing this, Yi Lingsu nodded her head. She sized up Lu Yuan carefully with her beautiful eyes. This handsome young man was so pleasing to the eye, but his character was exceptionally domineering. Yi Lingsu couldn't help but sigh when she recalled what he said earlier. She could either join and he would naturally welcome her, or she could refuse and he would send her away. He didn't give her a third choice, nor did he have much reluctance. The nine-hearted begonia sect seemed to be an ordinary force in his eyes. He didn't hesitate to send her away. She originally thought that even if this young man didn't agree to the marriage, he would at least loosen the conditions and she would be able to fight for more benefits. She didn't expect that not only did the conditions not change, but she was also at a complete disadvantage in the negotiation. There was no other way. The addition of the nine-hearted begonia sect was just icing on the cake for the Dragon King Palace. It wouldn't matter if they didn't join. However, this wasn't the case for the nine-hearted begonia sect. The predicament they were facing now was extremely serious. They desperately needed a protective umbrella to prevent the nine-hearted begonia sect from being swallowed up by others. Therefore, under such circumstances, they could only choose to join the Dragon King Palace. After all, this was relatively the most suitable place for them. In fact, from the beginning, Yi Lingsu only had one choice. What she had been doing was nothing more than fighting for more things and a higher status. It was a pity that she met such a domineering Lu Yuan. All her calculations fell through. Seeing that Yi Lingsu was sizing him up, Lu Yuan could not help but frown. What was this woman thinking? Sect Master Yi, why are you looking at me like that? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask softly. Yi Lingsu sighed, then smiled and said, Lord Lu, has anyone ever told you that you are actually very domineering? Does Sect Master Yi think I'm very overbearing? Lu Yuan asked indifferently. Very domineering. His personality is also very strong. Just now, Hallmaster Lu did not leave me any room for negotiation, Yi Lingsu said softly. Hehe, if Sect Master Yi says so, then so be it. Hearing Yi Lingsu's words, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle. Since Yi Lingsu said that he was strong, then so be it. After all, he was the lord of the Dragon King Palace and the holy son of the Martial Soul Palace. How high was his status? So what if he was a little overbearing? Moreover, a man should be strong. Could it be that he was weak and gentle like a woman? Lu Yuan thought to himself. Hallmaster Lu is very open-minded. Seeing that Lu Yuan didn't seem to care at all, Yi Lingsu couldn't help but smile. This young man was not pretentious at all. Hallmaster Lu, I have a question for you, Yi Lingsu said softly. What is it? Lu Yuan said indifferently. Hallmaster Lu, what I want to ask is, if we don't talk about marriage and only talk about feelings, if my daughter pursues you, will you accept her? Or rather, will you fall in love with my daughter? Yi Lingsu's red lips parted slightly as she stared straight at Lu Yuan. Even at this moment, she still hadn't given up on the thought in her heart. She still believed that Lu Yuan was the best choice for Yi Lingling. Hehe, I can't answer your question because this is just a hypothesis. However, there is one thing I can tell you. I only like beautiful women, the very beautiful kind. As he said that, Lu Yuan chuckled and walked out of the palace. What kind of reply is this? Looking at Lu Yuan's back, Yi Lingsu frowned slightly. So, did Lu Yuan mean that he would fall in love with Yi Lingling or not? She really couldn't make sense of it in her heart. For the first time, she felt that a man's mind was actually so difficult to understand. Sighing deeply, Yi Lingsu shook her head and followed Lu Yuan's back as they walked out of the palace. In the blink of an eye, another week had passed. Today was the 7th round of the qualifiers. The Heavenly Star Battle team finally welcomed a decent opponent. You all already know who our opponent is today, right? Looking at the crowd in front of him, Lu Yuan said softly. Yes. Everyone nodded. The name list for the 7th round of the qualifiers was already out. Their opponent was the Thunder Academy, a pretty good academy. Among the 5 elemental academies, the Thunder Academy's strength should be second only to the Godwind Academy. They were considered relatively strong. Today's opponent isn't weak. Furthermore, the Thunder Academy's captain and I don't have a good relationship. We have some personal grudges. During the competition, it's very likely that this grudge will affect all of you. Therefore, when all of you fight, be more careful. Furthermore, although all of you have better soul ring combinations, there's still a problem with the combination of soul masters. The combination of 2 support-type soul masters isn't very reasonable. It's fine against ordinary teams, but against the Thunder Academy, I'm afraid that there will be some problems. However, I still believe that all of you can win. The previous battles were all child's play. Today's Thunder Academy is your true opponent, and also the true test of your fighting strength. Zhu Qing and I will still not participate in this battle. Everything will depend on your own abilities. If you lose, everyone will be punished when we return. If you win, we'll celebrate like last time. I only hope that all of you won't disappoint me. Lu Yuan said indifferently. Captain, don't worry. Just wait for our good news. Ling Wei clapped his hands and said loudly. Yes, elder brother. When the time comes, you just have to watch Qiu'er's performance. Qiu'er will definitely beat them until they're looking for their teeth on the ground. Wang Qiu'er clenched her small fists lightly and said with a face full of confidence. Hehe, then I'll wait to see our little Qiu'er's performance when the time comes. Looking at Wang Qiu'er's cute appearance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. Yes, elder brother just has to wait and see. However, elder brother, if we win this time, you have to accompany Qiu'er to play to your heart's content for another day. Wang Qiu'er winked at Lu Yuan and said sweetly. Chapter 542. Of course. As long as our little Qiu'er can win, I'll play with you for another day. Lu Yuan laughed softly. Yeah, I know that you're the best. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu'er cheered. She took 2 steps forward and leapt into Lu Yuan's embrace. She rubbed her head against Lu Yuan's body, just like she did back in the Great Stardew Forest. Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile when he saw how attached Wang Qiu'er was to him. He lifted his right hand and rubbed Wang Qiu'er's head, caressing her bright golden hair. As he caressed Wang Qiu'er's hair, Lu Yuan turned to Fu Qinsheng and the others. Qinsheng, I'll leave today's command to you. After so many rounds, you've gained quite a bit of experience. I only have one request for you. You have to ensure the team's safety while ensuring victory. I don't want any of you to get hurt. Lu Yuan spoke softly. There was a tinge of seriousness in his voice. Understood, team leader. Leave it to me. Fu Qinsheng nodded and said. Okay, you've always been very steady. I'm not worried. If the battle becomes intense enough, I'll allow you to use your 4th soul skill. Lu Yuan said plainly. Yes, team leader. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Fu Qinsheng's eyes flickered. However, she still agreed. Brother, what did you mean by what you said just now? Is there something special about Brother Qinsheng's 4th soul skill? After hearing the conversation between Lu Yuan and Fu Qinsheng, Wang Qiu'er, who was lying in Lu Yuan's embrace, lifted her head and asked curiously. She wasn't the only one. After Wang Qiu'er spoke, the rest of the team turned their attention to Lu Yuan and Fu Qinsheng. Come to think of it, they had never seen Fu Qinsheng's 4th soul skill even though they had teamed up for so long. Qinsheng, do you mind if I say it? Lu Yuan glanced at Fu Qinsheng. Fu Qinsheng nodded and said, It's fine, team leader. You can say it. We're all on the same side. After seeing Lu Yuan's probing gaze, Fu Qinsheng. All right, then I'll tell you. After obtaining Qinsheng's approval, Lu Yuan didn't hesitate any longer and immediately said, You all know that Qinsheng's martial soul is the 6-string demonic zither. This is a top-notch tool soul that combines both spiritual control and offensive power. Qinsheng's 1st and 3rd soul skills are offensive soul skills, while her 2nd and 4th soul skills are spiritual control type skills. You've all seen his 2nd soul skill, spiritual delay. It directly targets one's spirit. Those who don't have strong spiritual power will easily fall for it. It's a pretty good skill, but it pales in comparison to his 4th soul skill. Qinsheng's 4th soul skill is called demonic sound confusion. It can use sound waves to directly attack a person's spiritual power, causing them to fall into a deranged and illusory state. After a long time, it can cause permanent damage to a person's spirit. It's even possible for them to become mentally retarded. It's also because of this that Qin Sheng has never used this skill before, because its destructive power is too great. However, this competition is different. Thunder Academy is coming aggressively, and Yu Tianxian has an old enmity with me. He's definitely thinking of how to take revenge on me, and might even have designed a way to deal with me in advance. I naturally don't place him in my eyes, but you guys can't look down on him. Therefore, in order to prevent you guys from getting hurt, I'll allow Qin Sheng to unseal this skill when necessary. Lu Yuan said softly. So that's how it is. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, everyone couldn't help but nod. So that's how it was. Oh, right. Yanzi, in this battle, you don't have to hide your poison anymore. Use it when you need to. It doesn't matter if you poison them, you can just detoxify them afterwards. After saying that, Lu Yuan's gaze drifted towards Du Guyang. When she saw this, Du Guyang nodded lightly. After seeing Du Guyang nod, Lu Yuan slowly shifted his gaze away and continued speaking. Everyone is the same. You don't have to hide your strength anymore. If you need to fight, fight to your heart's content. You guys can be merciful when dealing with other academies, but you don't need to be merciful to Thunder Academy, because they're enemies and not friends. They won't be merciful to you guys. Since that's the case, you can only strike first to gain the upper hand. Rong Rong and Jiang Zhu, you two auxiliary-type soul masters have to pay attention to protecting yourselves. Don't be too far away from Qin Sheng and Yanzi. As for Jingling, what you have to do isn't to cause too much damage to Thunder Academy, but to protect the two auxiliary-type soul masters on your side. Does everyone remember what I said? Lu Yuan asked in a deep voice as he looked at everyone. Yes. Everyone said in unison. Yes, not bad. When he heard this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. He turned to Wang Qiu'er in his arms and said, "And you, little Qiu'er. Big brother has something to tell you." "Yes, big brother. Qiu'er will remember what you said." Wang Qiu'er lifted her small face and looked at Lu Yuan with a serious expression. In this battle against Thunder Academy, the ones with the greatest responsibility are you and Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng needs to control the entire battlefield, while what you need to do is be a sharp blade that stabs into the enemy's heart. You don't need to care about anything else in this competition. You just need to target Yu Tianxian. No matter who comes to stop you, just beat them up as well. Although the blue lightning tyrant dragon isn't bad, the golden dragon is innately superior to it. What you have to do is to cripple Yu Tianxian, the enemy's strongest fighting strength. It doesn't matter even if you severely injure him, as long as he doesn't die. Do you understand? Qiu'er. Yes, Qiu'er understands. When she heard Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu'er nodded her small head and said with a serious expression. Qiu'er is so obedient. When he saw Wang Qiu'er's obedient appearance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but rub her small head. This little sister of his is so obedient and cute. She's so lovable. Alright, I think it's about time. We can enter the arena first. As he looked at everyone, Lu Yuan said with a serious expression. Yes, Captain. Everyone replied. Alright, let's get ready to set off then. Lu Yuan said plainly. He gently patted Wang Qiu'er's head and said, "Get up, Qiu'er. We're about to set off." "Oh." Wang Qiu'er replied softly. She squirmed out of Lu Yuan's arms and returned to the team. Under Lu Yuan's lead, the group of people walked into the competition venue. When Lu Yuan and the rest arrived, the Thunder Academy's team had already arrived. When they saw the Heavenly Star team enter the arena, the Thunder Academy's team members had an unfriendly look in their eyes. This was especially so for Yu Tianxian. When he looked at Lu Yuan, the hatred in his eyes couldn't be concealed. His ferocious look made it seem as if he wanted to skin Lu Yuan alive. When he felt Yu Tianxian's gaze, Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head. In this world, there are always people who overestimate themselves and seek death. What should I do when faced with such people? Chapter 543. There was only one way to deal with someone like him, who didn't know his own strength and was courting death, and that was to beat him to death. Yu Qianxin thought that he had improved a lot, and his confidence was off the charts. He thought that he could defeat Lu Yuan in the team round, even if he wasn't as strong as Lu Yuan. However, Lu Yuan didn't even care about him. He was just a clown, and Lu Yuan didn't even want to attack him. Forget it, I'll let his cute sister play with him. I'll let him know that the blue lightning tyrant dragon is trash in front of the golden dragon. Yu Qianxin probably found it harder to accept being beaten up by his sister than being beaten up by him. After all, he couldn't even beat his sister, let alone him. This was trampling on Yu Qianxin's dignity. However, Hua Yuhao liked this kind of thing. Killing someone's heart was the most interesting thing. Don't blame Lu Yuan for being ruthless. Yu Qianxin could only blame himself for not knowing his own strength, and for provoking him from time to time. Furthermore, he was from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. He could only blame himself for being unlucky. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was one of the targets that Lu Yuan wanted to eliminate, just like the Clear Sky sect. Yu Qianxin was from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, and was destined to be Lu Yuan's enemy. Lu Yuan never showed mercy to his enemies, not in the past, and not in the future. Elder brother, that person is glaring at you, and his gaze is so annoying. Lu Yuan could instantly sense Yu Qianxin's venomous gaze, and Wang Qiu'er could sense it too. After all, those who possessed the Golden Dragon martial soul had the Golden Dragon's sensory abilities. Wang Qiu'er's sensory abilities weren't as sensitive as Lu Yuan's, but she could easily sense a gaze. That person is Yu Qianxin. Remember him, and keep an eye on him later. Lu Yuan whispered to Wang Qiu'er. Yes, I know. This person dares to look at elder brother with such a hateful gaze. I'll beat him up later. Wang Qiu'er clenched her fists as she spoke with an angry look on her face. She liked her brother the most. Since this person dared to stare at her brother like that, he couldn't blame her for being impolite. Qiu'er is so obedient. No wonder you're my good sister. Lu Yuan was a little touched when he saw how protective Wang Qiu'er was of him. I didn't dote on her for nothing. She's so obedient. Let's go, Qiu'er. Let's take a seat outside the arena. The competition is about to start. Lu Yuan smiled as he held Wang Qiu'er's hand. At this moment, they had just entered the arena. There was still at least half an hour before the start of the competition. There was no doubt that the speed of the competition was this slow. Every day, it would start at 8 o'clock sharp. By the time the ceremony was done, it would be almost 9 o'clock. Then, the first match would begin. They would be given half an hour to prepare before the match. The first match would only begin at 9:30 a.m. After the first match, the teams for the second match entered the arena 15 minutes later. It was about 10 o'clock. Then, the second team entered the arena, and they had to prepare for another half an hour. By the time the second match started, it was already 10:30. The efficiency was extremely low. In an entire morning, there would only be about 2 matches. At the end of the day, there would be at most 4 matches. Sometimes, there would be less than 4 matches. At most, there would only be 3 matches. However, there were 4 competition zones. It was possible to finish a round of matches in a day. After all, there were 28 teams. Each team would be paired up in pairs. There would only be 14 matches in a day. Okay, brother. Wang Qiu'er revealed a happy smile as Lu Yuan held her hand. Her pinkish-blue eyes curved into crescents. She hurriedly moved her feet and caught up with Lu Yuan. On the other side, Yu Qianxin, who had been ignored by Lu Yuan, revealed a dark look in his eyes. This man is still so arrogant. He still doesn't respect me at all. Lu Yuan, I'll make sure you lose completely today. Yu Qianxin clenched his fists so tightly that they cracked. He looked at the backs of Lu Yuan and the rest, and his eyes revealed an ominous glint. Lu Yuan brought everyone to the waiting area. There was still about half an hour before the match. They couldn't just stand there. After all, standing was exhausting. How could it be more comfortable than sitting? The seats in the waiting area were the same as the resting area. They didn't have backs. The only difference was that the resting area was arranged in a staircase from the lowest to the highest, while the waiting area was flat. There was only one level. However, it wasn't strange. The resting area wasn't big, but there were many teams. The staircase could save space. Furthermore, they could clearly divide the area. This was beneficial to the arrangement of the matches. However, there was only one team in the waiting area. There wasn't a need to do this. Everyone chose a seat and sat down. Lu Yuan sat in the first row. Wang Qiu'er was on his left, Zhu Zhuqing was on his right, and Ning Rongrong was behind him. It could be said that he was surrounded by girls. He had no choice. Who asked him to be so handsome? He was so popular with girls. In fact, he was also very vexed about this. Half an hour wasn't very long. It passed very quickly as they waited. The second match of the 7th round of the qualifiers in Group A will now begin. Both teams, please enter the stage. The referee's voice rang out from the stage. It's time, Qiu'er. Lu Yuan patted Wang Qiu'er, who was hugging his arm and sleeping soundly. He was speechless. Wang Qiu'er's heart is really big. She can still sleep with the match around the corner. Furthermore, she's drooling on my shoulder as she's sleeping. But then again, she's still pretty cute when she's sleeping. She's already very beautiful. Coupled with her cute appearance, she's really lovable. At the very least, Lu Yuan was completely conquered by his sister's cute appearance. He was already developing a sister complex. It's time to enter the stage. Wang Qiu'er immediately woke up after being patted by Lu Yuan. She rubbed her sleepy eyes, as if she hadn't woken up yet. Yes, it's time to enter the stage. Lu Yuan tucked Wang Qiu'er's hair behind her ear. He pinched Wang Qiu'er's little face and chuckled. Wang Qiu'er immediately woke up after being touched by Lu Yuan. Brother, I'm going up now. I'll wait for you to see my performance, Wang Qiu'er said coquettishly. Go. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Wang Qiu'er smiled sweetly when she heard this. She quickly pecked Lu Yuan's face before following Fu Qinsheng and the rest into the stage. Both parties faced each other on the stage, sparks flying everywhere. Chapter 544. Where's Lu Yuan? Why isn't he on stage? Yu Tianxin's expression turned somewhat sinister when she saw that Lu Yuan was still below the stage. She had waited for so long to defeat Lu Yuan and wipe away her humiliation, but Lu Yuan wasn't on stage? You think someone like you is worthy of my brother's attention? Let me, Wang Qiu'er, teach you a lesson today. A trace of disgust flashed across Wang Qiu'er's eyes as she looked at Yu Tianxin. He dared to look at her brother like that. She would definitely beat him half to death and let him know what cruelty was. Shameless boasting. Yu Tianxin clenched her fists when she heard Wang Qiu'er's words. Anger rose in her heart. Wang Qiu'er was indeed that man's sister. Her words were just as arrogant and infuriating. Whether or not I'm boasting shamelessly, we'll know in a bit. Wang Qiu'er's expression was indifferent as she looked at Yu Tianxin. Yu Tianxin's rank couldn't be hidden from her golden dragon's senses. Rank 45. This was her rank. She didn't know where Yu Tianxin's confidence came from. Her rank was lower than hers, yet she dared to provoke her brother. The ignorant were truly fearless. Forget it. I'll let her know the power of my golden dragon later. Both teams, get ready. Begin. The referee's voice rang out just as Wang Qiu'er and Yu Tianxin were facing off. Both teams released their martial souls at the same time as the referee's voice rang out. A yellow 100-year soul ring and a purple 1000-year soul ring flickered with dazzling light. At least 50 to 60 soul rings appeared on the stage at the same time. This truly caused the audience's eyes to light up. As expected, the atmosphere in the spectator stands immediately became lively after both parties revealed their soul rings. 4 soul ancestors and 3 soul elders. Fu Qinsheng couldn't help but mutter when he saw the number of soul ancestors from Thunder Academy. No wonder their captain, Lu Yuan, had specifically warned them. It turned out that Thunder Academy only had 1 less soul ancestor than them. Furthermore, Thunder Academy's team composition was very reasonable. Coupled with the fact that Thunder Academy possessed an extremely strong offensive power, they really had to pay attention to this match. But even so, the victory still belonged to their side. This was a betrayal of Qin Sheng's confidence in their team. Wang Qiu'er, according to what the captain said, "I'll leave Yu Tianxin to you. As for Ling Wei, he'll deal with the Soul Ancestor and Soul Elder with the Thunder Leopard Martial Soul. As for the Soul Ancestors with the Thunder Spider and Thunder Eagle Martial Souls, as well as the remaining Soul Elder, leave them to me and Douluo Yang. Jingling will be responsible for protecting the two support-type Soul Masters and keeping the Soul Elder busy." Fu Qinsheng's faint voice sounded. Good. Hearing Fu Qinsheng's words, everyone couldn't help but nod. Then let's begin. Just as Fu Qinsheng finished speaking, Wang Qiu'er stomped her foot forcefully. Tiny cracks appeared on the reinforced stage, and Wang Qiu'er used this force to charge out. At the same time, Ling Wei's figure pounced forward and charged towards the Soul Ancestor with the Thunder Leopard Martial Soul. Douluo Yang and Fu Qinsheng were naturally not idle either. One by one, they found their opponents. Azure Glass from the 9 treasures. 1 is strength, 2 is speed. 2 streaks of flowing light entered Wang Qiu'er's and Ling Wei's bodies, and their auras instantly soared. "Yu Tianxin, take this," Wang Qiu'er shouted as she pounced towards Yu Tianxin. "All right, since I can't take care of Lu Yuan, I'll teach his sister a lesson. I'll let him know the consequences of offending me." Yu Tianxin's expression was ferocious as she watched Wang Qiu'er pounce towards her. Her dragon claws, which contained the power of lightning, swiped towards Wang Qiu'er. "You're overestimating yourself." A look of disdain flashed across Wang Qiu'er's eyes. She punched out towards Yu Tianxin's dragon claws. Wang Qiu'er's fist and palm collided. A tremendous force was unleashed from Wang Qiu'er's fist, and she knocked Yu Tianxin's dragon claw away. Her fist struck Yu Tianxin's chest and sent him flying. It was important to note that Wang Qiu'er's rank was already higher than Yu Tianxin's. Now that she had the 9 treasures glazed pagoda's help, her strength had increased to a terrifying level. Furthermore, her golden dragon greatly suppressed the blue lightning tyrant dragon. It was normal for her to send Yu Tianxin flying with 1 punch. "Captain." Everyone from the Thunder Academy was shocked when they saw Yu Tianxin being sent flying by Wang Qiu'er. They immediately wanted to help Yu Tianheng. "Where are you all going?" Just as everyone from the Thunder Academy wanted to help Yu Tianxin, several figures blocked their path. Second soul skill, Raging Bear Claw. Ling Wei shouted as his second soul ring lit up. A huge energy claw slammed down towards the Thunder Leopard Soul Ancestor. Faced with this attack, the Thunder Leopard Soul Ancestor no longer cared about helping Yu Tianheng. He hurriedly channeled his soul power to resist. "Lei Tian, go help boss. I'll hold them back," Lei Dong, the Thunder Spider Soul Ancestor, said to the Thunder Eagle Soul Ancestor as he watched Fu Qinsheng and Douluo Yang surround them. "Okay," the Thunder Eagle Soul Ancestor replied. He flapped his wings and was about to leave the battlefield. At the same time, the 8 spider legs on Lei Dong's back stabbed into the ground. Circle after circle of lightning was released from his palms, forming a huge lightning net that surged towards Fu Qinsheng and the others. This lightning net possessed a powerful lightning power. Moreover, within the lightning net, Lei Dong could easily detect any movement in any direction. Once Fu Qinsheng and Douluo Yang were enveloped by the lightning net, the situation would become troublesome. "You want to leave? Have you asked for my permission?" Seeing Lei Dong's actions and Lei Tian's attempt to help Yu Tianxin, Fu Qinsheng couldn't help but snort. First soul skill, Soundwave Light Blade Slash. Second soul skill, Spiritual Delay. Fu Qinsheng's first and second soul rings lit up at the same time. Dense spiritual power instantly spread out and enveloped Lei Dong and Lei Tian, as well as the remaining 2 soul elders. Under the effect of mental sluggishness, their figures immediately slowed down. At the same time, the huge soundwave light blade formed by the first soul skill struck Lei Tian's body. Lei Tian, who originally wanted to retreat, was directly struck down. "Why are you all in such a hurry to run?" Douluo Yang chuckled. Her legs had already transformed into a dragon tail. As she swayed gently, it brought about a strange temptation. Third soul skill, Jade Phosphorus Purple Miss. Douluo Yang's mouth was smiling, but her hands weren't slow. Her third soul ring gently shone and a layer of purple mist surged towards Lei Tian, Lei Dong, and the few people behind him. Chapter 545. Not good, it's poisonous. Lei Dong's expression changed when he saw the purple poisonous fog surging towards them, and he couldn't help but exclaim in alarm. Immediately, he withdrew the 8 spider legs that he had inserted into the ground. As soon as he did so, the lightning net disappeared without a trace. Lei Dong instantly made a choice. Should he continue to use the lightning net to control his opponents, or should he allow Douluo Yang's jade phosphorus purple poison to envelop him? Lightning spiders were spiders, but they were lightning type, and were different from ordinary spiders. Although they possessed extremely strong lightning power, they had also lost the poison that belonged to ordinary spiders. Just like the ice jade scorpion, when it pursued ultimate ice, it had already lost the poison that ordinary scorpions possessed. After all, in order to obtain something, it naturally had to give up some other things. However, although the lightning spider didn't have any poison-type abilities, its lightning power allowed it to have a certain degree of resistance to poison. If Douluo Yang's martial soul was also a jade phosphorus snake, then her poison might not be able to do anything to Lei Dong. Fortunately, the jade phosphorus snake had already evolved into a jade phosphorus flood dragon, and its strength had greatly increased. Lei Dong had no way to deal with such a poison. Lei Dong's expression froze when he saw the purple poisonous fog surging towards him, and he shouted, Lei Tian. Lei Tian, who had fallen to the ground after being hit by Zither Sheng's soundwave light blade, immediately flew up once again when he heard Lei Dong's voice. His third soul ring shone, and a pair of enormous lightning wings extended from it. When the wings appeared, layers of lightning surrounded them, and his body suddenly started to spin. As his wings flapped, an invisible whirlwind appeared, and the purple fog that had already spread over was actually blown away by the layers of whirlwind. Oh! Douluo Yang's beautiful eyes couldn't help but focus when she saw this scene. She didn't expect that her poisonous fog would be dispersed so easily. Looks like you won't be able to fight against the God Wind Academy in the future. Zither Sheng lightly plucked the zither strings, and once again used spiritual slow, and Lei Dong and Lei Tian's speed immediately slowed down. This was the power of spiritual control. If your spiritual power wasn't strong enough, then even if you struggled to break free, as long as a spiritual type soul master used another skill, you would still be controlled again. It was very difficult to deal with a spiritual type control type soul master without any means to deal with them. It was just like the match between Shrek's 7 monsters and the Martial Soul Palace in the original timeline. If not for Tang San's purple demon eyes countering Helena's charm, Helena alone would have been able to defeat the entire Shrek team. This was the terrifying aspect of spiritual type soul masters. Looking at the Zither Sheng once again gently plucked the zither strings and once again controlled the 2 soul ancestors, Douluo Yang could not help but give out a light sigh. What you said is right, if we were to deal with the God Wind Academy in the future, I really would not be able to play much of a role. Currently, with the exception of her 4th soul skill, she basically only had the ability to release the poison fog, but her 4th soul skill was a single target skill, and could only control one person at a time. Moreover, the consumption of her soul skill was enormous. Facing the God Wind Academy who could control the wind elements, her skills would basically be wasted by more than half. Just like before, the poisonous fog was blown away by the whirlwind. Sigh, I hope that I can become a Soul King soon. When that time comes, I'll be able to condense a poison pill, and I'll be able to enrich my attack methods. Douluo Yang sighed softly as she spoke. Then I hope that you can become a Soul King as soon as possible. Fu Qinsheng smiled faintly, her fingers gently plucking the zither strings, and the zither music that contained spiritual fluctuations once again spread out, once again controlling Lei Dong and Lei Tian, who were about to struggle free. Damn it! Lei Dong, whose spiritual reaction was as slow as a turtle, could not help but curse. This damned spiritual sluggishness was too difficult to break free from, and every time he was about to break free, the zither music would sound out again, and then their speed would slow down again. The opponent was a control-type soul ancestor, But she was actually able to tie down 2 soul ancestors and 2 soul elders on their side, which made Lei Dong somewhat anxious in his heart. Especially when his captain's anguished howl could be heard. Strength of a dragon. Wang Qiu'er once again punched out, and this time it directly hit Yu Tianxin's body, and directly sent him flying. Ah! Yu Tianxin howled in pain, and blood continuously flowed from the corner of his mouth. He had used the strength of the blue lightning tyrant dragon that he was so proud of, his offensive strength, and his dragon form skill, but he was still pinned to the ground by Wang Qiu'er, and he couldn't even retaliate. You're just a blue lightning tyrant dragon. I don't know where you get your confidence from, but you can't even beat me, and you still dare to provoke my brother. Wang Qiu'er didn't have any pity in her eyes as she watched Yu Tianxin spit out blood from his mouth. She was very kind, and her character was very pure, but that was only under normal circumstances. Now, Yu Tianxin was provoking her brother, whom she loved and relied on the most. In Wang Qiu'er's eyes, this was even more serious than provoking herself. Under such circumstances, she had already let go of her kindness and innocence, and she would beat anyone who dared to provoke her brother to death. It could be said that if Lu Yuan had a sister complex, then Wang Qiu'er had a brother complex. She wouldn't tolerate anyone talking bad about her brother. Wang Qiu'er, you're courting death. Yu Tianxin stood up, and the power of lightning surged from his body. 4th soul skill, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Yu Tianxin's 4th soul ring lit up, and formless lightning condensed to form a small blue lightning dragon. It was more than 2 meters long, and streaks of bluish-purple lightning flashed and exploded within it. A frightening destructive force gathered within it. This was Yu Tianxin's most terrifying attack. Even a high-tier soul ancestor wouldn't dare to take this attack head-on. Go to hell, Wang Qiu'er. Yu Tianxin pushed his dragon claws forward, and the small lightning dragon surged towards Wang Qiu'er with a ferocious aura. Is this your strongest attack? Wang Qiu'er didn't even blink when she saw the small lightning dragon surging towards her. An ordinary high-tier soul ancestor wouldn't dare to take this attack head-on, but that didn't mean that a soul master with a golden dragon martial soul wouldn't dare to take it head-on. 1st soul skill, Golden Dragon Body. Wang Qiu'er shouted, and golden light surged. Wang Qiu'er's attributes soared, and her aura became much stronger. 3rd soul skill, Golden Dragon Head. Her 3rd soul ring shone with a blinding purple light. Wang Qiu'er punched out, and a golden dragon head flew out from her fist and collided with the small lightning dragon that was surging towards her. Haha, Wang Qiu'er, just wait for your death. Yu Tianxin couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Wang Qiu'er didn't even try to dodge his strongest attack. There was a tinge of carefreeness in his laughter. In his opinion, Wang Qiu'er would either die or be severely injured after taking this attack head-on. Chapter 546. Yu Tianxin was extremely confident in his attack. This was the strongest attack that he could unleash with all his strength. He was even confident that this attack could injure a Soul King. Hence, he couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Wang Qiu'er dared to take this attack head-on. However, Yu Tianxin didn't know that there was no attack that a golden dragon wouldn't dare to take head-on. Ultimate strength didn't just refer to strength. It also included the quality of one's body. In terms of physique, no one would dare to claim first place if a golden dragon soul master claimed to be second. The Clear Sky Hammer, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, and the White Tiger were all inferior to a golden dragon in terms of physique. After activating her golden dragon body, Wang Qiu'er directly used her golden dragon head to charge forward. The golden dragon head flew out and collided with the lightning dragon that contained the terrifying power. Bang! The golden dragon head and the small lightning dragon collided, and a loud boom was heard. The power of lightning exploded, and streaks of silver snakes shot out in all directions. The intense blue lightning and golden light that flashed out were extremely dazzling. Wang Qiu'er's entire body was instantly engulfed. Ah! Zhu Zhuqing, who was sitting next to Lu Yuan, exclaimed when she saw Wang Qiu'er's body being engulfed. She hurriedly grabbed Lu Yuan's arm, and there was a look of concern on her face. Will Qiu'er be all right? Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile when he saw the concerned look on Zhu Zhuqing's face. Although this little kitten liked to get jealous all the time, and sometimes even got jealous of Wang Qiu'er, she was still very concerned about Wang Qiu'er. After all, her worried expression came from the bottom of her heart, and it couldn't be faked. His little kitten was a little special. She liked to get jealous, but she was also very magnanimous at times. She was the one who stopped Lu Yuan from getting close to Ning Rongrong. She was also the one who persuaded Lu Yuan to take Ning Rongrong in. Just like now, she often complained that he was too close to Wang Qiu'er. However, she was very worried now that Wang Qiu'er was in danger. This kitten was really cute and realistic. Among his 4 women, this kitten was the most realistic. Gently caressing Zhu Zhuqing's hair, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, it'll be fine. Qiu'er's physique is strong to begin with, and she has also eaten the Shenyang Jade Dragon fruit. This bit of lightning energy is nothing to her. Qiu'er's body isn't any weaker than some assault-type soul emperors." Lu Yuan had just finished speaking when a streak of golden light tore through the lightning, and Wang Qiu'er's figure appeared. She wasn't severely injured, and she looked very relaxed and energetic. Even her clothes weren't torn at all. It was as if that terrifying lightning attack had no effect on her at all. "This is impossible, this is impossible." Yu Tianxin's face was filled with disbelief as he looked at Wang Qiu'er's unharmed appearance. He had used all his strength in that attack, but it hadn't hurt Wang Qiu'er at all. How could he accept this? Nothing is impossible. You don't understand what a golden dragon is, and what ultimate strength is. You've already been beaten to the ground by a golden dragon, and you're still so naive to think that your blue lightning tyrant dragon can hurt a golden dragon? Put away your laughable arrogance. The blue lightning tyrant dragon is trash to a golden dragon. Back then, elder brother was able to make Yu Tianheng crawl on the ground, and he couldn't even retaliate. Even though I can't compare to elder brother, it won't be difficult for me to step on you and beat you into a dead dog. Wang Qiu'er's beautiful face was indifferent. She stomped her foot, and spiderweb-like cracks spread out from the tip of her foot. Wang Qiu'er's figure flashed, and her fist, which was shining with golden light, smashed towards Yu Tianxin. Second soul skill, Unstoppable Thunderbolt. Yu Tianxin panicked when he saw Wang Qiu'er charging towards him. He hurriedly activated his second soul skill, and streaks of lightning spread out. Second soul skill, Dragon's Strength. Wang Qiu'er's fist punched out, completely ignoring the power of lightning on Yu Tianxin's body. Her fist smashed into Yu Tianxin's chest, and a cracking sound was heard. One of Yu Tianxin's ribs was broken, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Wang Qiu'er had no intention of letting him go. She followed up and kicked Yu Tianxin's face. Yu Tianxin's handsome face swelled up, and his face was covered with purplish-red bruises. Wang Qiu'er's kick was immensely powerful, and more than 10 of Yu Tianxin's teeth flew out. Thick blood flowed out from Yu Tianxin's mouth, and along with his swollen face, he looked like a ferocious demon from hell. "Oh my, do you women like to hit people's faces?" Lu Yuan couldn't help but exclaim when he saw Yu Tianxin's current appearance. He still remembered how Zhu Zhuqing had left several claw marks on Dai Mubai's face in the Great Soul Arena, and how she had disfigured that perverted tiger. He didn't expect Wang Qiu'er to disfigure Yu Tianxin today as well. Lu Yuan couldn't bear to look at Yu Tianxin's current appearance. He was beaten so badly. If he were the one who attacked, it would be normal for him to beat someone to death or cripple them. However, he didn't have the habit of hitting someone's face. Could this be the difference between men and women? Thinking back to the time when he confessed to Chen Renxue also grabbed his face and beat him to death. She did not stop until his face was swollen. Lu Yuan felt that this was very possible. "What did you say?" Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but turn her head when she heard Lu Yuan's words. She was watching the match earlier, so she didn't hear Lu Yuan's words clearly. "Nothing." Lu Yuan didn't bother to mention it again when he saw that Zhu Zhuqing didn't hear him. Zhu Zhuqing looked suspiciously at Lu Yuan. She didn't feel that anything was wrong. Then, she slowly turned her head and looked at the stage. Her red lips parted slightly, and a doubtful voice sounded. "I don't think Thunder Academy is that strong. They're being beaten up." Weren't you overthinking things when you said so much earlier? I wasn't overthinking things. Thunder Academy's strength is naturally inferior to Qin Sheng and Qiu'er's, but they still have a trump card. Lu Yuan said plainly. Trump card? Zhu Zhuqing didn't understand. Look. Lu Yuan said plainly as he looked at the stage. Hey! Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but turn her gaze over when she heard this. She saw that the formation on the stage had undergone a huge change. Yu Tianxin, who was being beaten up by Wang Qiu'er, had gathered with Lei Dong, Lei Tian, and Lei Tian. Yu Tianxin was at the front, while the other three stood behind her. They placed their hands on Yu Tianxin's body at the same time. Streaks of energy gathered from their bodies towards Yu Tianxin's body. Suddenly, Yu Tianxin's aura started to rise. Chapter 547. This is... Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but exclaim in surprise when she saw Yu Tianxin and the others' actions. She turned to Lu Yuan with an inquisitive look in her eyes. It can be considered a 4-in-1 fusion technique. Lu Yuan's eyes sparkled as he watched Yu Tianheng's aura increase. Considered. Zhu Zhuqing didn't understand when she heard Lu Yuan's words. Yes. What does he mean by considered? A true 4-in-1 fusion technique is to perfectly fuse the powers of 4 people into one person's body, causing that person's soul power to increase exponentially. However, it's not easy to achieve such a perfect 4-in-1 fusion technique. Not only does it require a strong tacit understanding between soul masters, but it also requires a high level of guidance from the teacher. Although a 4-in-1 fusion isn't as good as a 7-in-1 fusion technique, it's not something that an ordinary teacher can do. Shenyan was able to achieve a 7-in-1 fusion technique because all 7 of his teammates had the same martial soul. Furthermore, their martial souls were extremely malleable. That's why he was able to achieve a 7-in-1 fusion technique. In terms of difficulty, it's not as good as this 4-in-1 fusion technique. Because their martial souls are different, the repulsion between them is extremely strong. Under such circumstances, it's very difficult to completely fuse their soul power together. However, Yu Tianxin and the others are clearly different. They took advantage of the fact that their martial souls are lightning type to forcefully infuse the other 3's soul power into Yu Tianxin's body. This way, it's hard to avoid losses when passing on their martial souls. Originally, Yu Tianxin's soul power should have been able to break through to the early stage Soul Emperor realm after gathering the 4's soul power. However, even after absorbing the other 3's soul power, Yu Tianxin has only just touched the door to becoming a Soul Emperor. However, even just touching the door to becoming a Soul Emperor is still quite a challenge for Qiu'er and the others. Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he spoke. How can you still smile? Others don't know how strong this realm is, but don't you know? Can Qiu'er and the others win against such opponents? Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but glance at Lu Yuan when she heard his laughter. This man can still laugh in such a situation. Haha. You think you're strong when you've barely touched upon the Soul Emperor realm? Why don't I think so? After being glanced at by Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan suddenly laughed. That's only for a freak like you. Even I might not be able to deal with someone who has the strength of a Soul Emperor. Not everyone can jump ranks like you can. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan. The strength of a Soul Emperor was something that even a rank 52 Soul Emperor like her wouldn't necessarily be able to win against. The higher one went, the greater the gap between each rank. She could defeat a Soul Ancestor as a Soul Exalt, but as a Soul King, she wouldn't necessarily be able to defeat a Soul Emperor. This was especially true for the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, which was a top-tier martial soul with powerful attacks. Once it reached the level of a Soul Emperor, it would be even stronger than most Soul Emperors. Could Wang Qiu'er and the others win? Zhu Zhuqing was doubtful. Haha, little kitty. You're underestimating yourself. Don't think that Soul Emperors are too strong. Soul Emperors are just like that. Before becoming a Soul Sage, the gap between ranks isn't as insurmountable as you think. With the strength of your superb martial soul, the 9 lives links, and your secret word, in addition to your extraordinary soul ring combination, you won't have a problem fighting an ordinary Soul Emperor. It's just that you've seen too few Soul Emperors. Not every Soul Emperor is as strong as Cher. Cher has no problem fighting a Soul Sage with her current strength. It won't work if you compare other Soul Emperors to Cher. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Yes, I'm inexperienced. Your Cher is still the best. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan before turning her gaze back to the arena. Her face was cold, and there wasn't any change in her expression. Hey, you little kitty. Lu Yuan sighed helplessly when he saw that the little kitty was jealous again. He was just telling the truth, and this little girl was jealous again. Sigh, she's so hard to deal with. Gently holding Zhu Zhuqing in his arms, Lu Yuan's gaze once again turned to the ring. What are they doing? Wang Qiu'er had already returned to her side of the arena. Earlier, she had caught Yu Tianxin and beaten him up. She had a good time beating him up, and Yu Tianxin wasn't her match at all. Wang Qiu'er couldn't help but raise her eyebrows when she saw Yu Tianxin's actions and felt the aura rising from Yu Tianxin's body. This was more interesting. Earlier, Yu Tianxin was like an ant to her, and she could step on him whenever she wanted to. Now, she was interested in continuing the fight. Fu Qinsheng said as she watched Yu Tianxin's actions, their actions seem like a 4-in-1 fusion skill, but there seems to be a slight difference. However, it seems like Yu Tianxin's soul power will increase exponentially after he absorbs the soul power of the other three. Let's take this opportunity to interrupt them. There's no hurry. I haven't played enough. Wang Qiu'er said softly, this guy dared to provoke Big Brother. How can beating him up once be enough? I want to destroy his confidence when he's at his proudest. That's the only interesting way. She clenched her little fists as she spoke, and cracking sounds could be heard. This was the sound of her knuckles rubbing against each other as she clenched her fists. Ling Wei and the others couldn't help but take 2 steps back when they saw the serious look on Wang Qiu'er's face. Are you confident? Yu Tianxin's strength might increase to a very high level. Fu Qinsheng asked softly. Of course. Wang Qiu'er smiled faintly and said, however, I need Sister Rongrong to help me. You'll help me, right, Sister Rongrong? Wang Qiu'er's gaze turned towards Ning Rongrong as she spoke, and she even blinked her pinkish blue eyes with an adorable look on her face. Of course, Sister Rongrong will help Qiu'er. Ning Rongrong smiled before she blinked her icy blue eyes at Wang Qiu'er. However, Qiu'er, don't forget what you promised Sister Rongrong. Yes, I won't forget. I'll put in a good word for Sister Rongrong in front of Big Brother. Wang Qiu'er patted her chest when she heard this and spoke with a serious look on her face. All right, then Sister Rongrong will do her best to help you, Qiu'er. I'll let you fight to your heart's content. Ning Rongrong smiled faintly as she spoke. Hee hee. Wang Qiu'er giggled when she heard Ning Rongrong's words, and her pinkish blue eyes curved into crescents. In fact, she might seem obedient in front of Lu Yuan, but she used to be a little tyrant in the Great Stardew Forest. She liked to fight a lot. Chapter 548. However, Lu Yuan didn't like girls who were passionate about fighting. He preferred girls who were obedient and gentle. Therefore, Wang Qiu'er controlled her nature to make her brother love her more. However, she had been wanting to fight for a long time. She couldn't be too heavy-handed when she trained with her teammates. After all, she was very terrifying once she unleashed her full strength. Even though she was only at rank 47, with the power of her Golden Dragon martial soul, it wouldn't be a problem for her to fight a rank 52 or 53 Soul King. Even Zhu Zhuqing wouldn't have an easy time against Wang Qiu'er, even if she could win. She had to be serious. After all, the 9 Lives Lynx and the Golden Dragon were both transcendent martial souls, but there was still a difference in their quality. Furthermore, Wang Qiu'er was a soul beast, and she had consumed the Shenyang Jade Dragon fruit. Her physical body was very strong. Therefore, Wang Qiu'er was a little excited to be able to unleash her full strength openly. She even hoped that Yu Tianxin could be stronger. Fu Qinsheng and Ling Wei exchanged a look as they looked at the battle-hungry Wang Qiu'er and Ning Rongrong, who was secretly laughing. A look of helplessness flashed across their eyes. One of them was a battle-hungry person, while the other had bad intentions. She wanted to seduce their captain. The two of them together were amazing. In fact, Fu Qinsheng and Ling Wei were right. Wang Qiu'er and Ning Rongrong got along very well. One of them was the little tyrant of the Great Star Do Forest, while the other was the little witch of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect. They were both troublemakers, and didn't know what fear was. In front of Lu Yuan, Wang Qiu'er was an obedient, sensible, and cute little sister. Ning Rongrong was the same. In front of Lu Yuan, her little witch personality was restrained. Her aura was smooth and elegant, and her actions were dignified and generous. What was more coincidental was that both of them had been pampered since they were young. Although they were a little proud, they were very pure. There were so many similarities. Wang Qiu'er and Ning Rongrong hit it off immediately. Wang Qiu'er's relationship with Ning Rongrong was better than her relationship with Zhu Zhuqing. It was not that Zhu Zhuqing was not good to her, but Zhu Zhuqing's appearance was cold, which made it difficult for people to get close to her. In contrast, Ning Rongrong's appearance was very sweet, which made it easier for people to get close to her. Furthermore, Ning Rongrong's 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda's amplification was very addictive, especially for assault-type soul masters. The feeling of a huge increase in strength was very addictive. On the other hand, Lu Yuan doted on Wang Qiu'er a lot. Ning Rongrong, who had been chasing after Lu Yuan to no avail, naturally turned her attention to Wang Qiu'er. She hoped that Wang Qiu'er could put in a good word for her. This way, both sides would have their needs, and the relationship between them would naturally improve. Then I'll leave Yu Tianxian to you. Ning Rongrong will be in charge of assisting you, and I'll help you control the field. As for Ling Wei and Du Guyang, you two clear out the 3 soul exalts first. Jingling doesn't need to move, just stay and protect Jiangzhu. Fu Qinsheng looked at Wang Qiu'er as she spoke. After she finished speaking, she looked at the others. Yes. Hearing this, everyone nodded. It seems like it's about time. Fu Qinsheng squinted as she watched Yu Tianxian roar into the sky. Her aura was much stronger than before. It's about time. Wang Qiu'er rubbed her fists before she took 2 steps forward. She stopped when she was 3 meters away from Yu Tianxian, and her voice rang out. You've absorbed everything. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Wang Qiu'er, you're still so arrogant. You're just as despicable as your brother. No, you're even more despicable than him. Yu Tianxian touched her swollen face and her mouth, which had lost more than 10 teeth. A vicious look flashed across her eyes. To thank you for waiting for so long, I'll give you a big present. Yu Tianxian's tone was light, but there was a deep chill in it. She promised that she would let Wang Qiu'er know what cruelty was later. Haha, then let's see how much you're worth. Hearing the viciousness in Yu Tianxian's words, Wang Qiu'er chortled. She didn't care. If she wanted to beat her, she couldn't rely on her mouth. She had to rely on her strength. Then I'll let you see how much I'm worth. Yu Tianxian's voice was light, but it was filled with confidence. He felt very good about himself as he felt the skyrocketing soul force in his body. He was deeply fascinated by this terrifying strength. Attack! Qin Sheng shouted. Ling Wei and Du Guyang rushed out at the same time and pounced towards the remaining 3 soul elders. As for Lei Dong and Lei Tian, they were already paralyzed on the ground when they transferred all their soul force to Yu Tianxian. Yu Tianxian didn't try to stop Ling Wei and Du Guyang. As far as he was concerned, he was more than enough to deal with the 7 soul exalts. It didn't matter if the 3 soul exalts from his family were still present. Since Yu Tianxian didn't move, Wang Qiu'er and the others naturally didn't move. After all, they were here to restrain Yu Tianxian. Without Yu Tianxian's obstruction, the 3 soul elders were quickly knocked off the stage by Du Guyang and Ling Wei. The 3 soul ancestors from the Thunder Academy were also blasted off the stage. Right now, only the Heavenly Star battle team and Yu Tianxian were left on the stage. Jingling, Jiangzhu, Du Guyang, the 3 of you should go down first. The soul elders on the other side have already been eliminated. In the current situation, there's not much use for the 3 of you to stay on the stage. Qin Sheng said as he looked at Yu Tianxian, who was emitting a powerful aura. Yu Tianxian's soul force was already close to that of a soul emperor. His aura was comparable to that of a low-level Soul Emperor. Jingling and Jiang Zhu's fighting strength wouldn't be of much use. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon's resistance to poison was very strong, and Dugu Yang's poison wouldn't have much of an effect either. Thus, it was better for them to go down together. This way, they wouldn't be able to do anything when the fight started. Dugu Yang and the other two left the stage. Wang Chua took the lead to face Yu Tianxin, while Zither Sheng sat cross-legged on the ground, gently plucking the zither strings. Ling Wei stood beside Ning Rongrong, guarding her. Are you ready? Let's begin. First soul skill, Blue Lightning Dragon Claw. Yu Tianxin growled. His figure flashed, and his enormous lightning dragon claw swiped at Wang Chua. First soul skill, Golden Dragon Body. Second soul skill, Dragon's Strength. Wang Chua growled. She didn't retreat at all in the face of Yu Tianxin's ferocious attack. Instead, she pounced forward. Bang! Her fist, which was shining with golden light, collided with Yu Tianxin's dragon claw. Suddenly, bluish-purple lightning exploded in all directions. Wang Chua took 7 or 8 steps back before she managed to stabilize herself. Yu Tianxin, on the other hand, only took 2 steps back before she regained her footing. Wang Chua was at a complete disadvantage in this clash. Hee, Wang Chua, prepare to die. Yu Tianxin was delighted when he saw that Wang Chua had been pushed back. He roared into the sky and waved his sharp dragon claw as he pounced in Wang Chua's direction. Chapter 549. It was true that the Golden Dragon countered the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, but there was a limit to how much it could suppress the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Wang Chua wasn't Lu Yuan, and her bloodline wasn't as pure as Lu Yuan's. Lu Yuan's bloodline was only a step away from the Golden Dragon King's. It was unbelievably pure. Furthermore, the clear aura god power also gave Lu Yuan's Golden Dragon bloodline something new. It allowed him to deviate from the normal Golden Dragon bloodline, and he had the potential to evolve beyond the Golden Dragon King. That was why Lu Yuan's Golden Dragon was extremely effective against beast souls. If Wang Chua had been Lu Yuan, the outcome would have been completely different. Lu Yuan wouldn't have been the one to take 7 steps back. Yu Tianxin would have been the one to take 7 steps back. However, there were no IFS in reality. Wang Chua was only at rank 47, and she was at a disadvantage in a head-on clash with Yu Tianxin, who possessed soul power comparable to a Soul Emperor. Even though Wang Chua's martial soul was superior, she was still at a disadvantage. Fortunately, Wang Chua wasn't alone in this fight. The 9 treasures are called colored glaze. The 9 treasures are called Strength, Speed, Soul, and Defense. Ning Rongrong recited the incantation and pointed with her finger. 4 streaks of flowing light gathered on Wang Chua's body, and her aura surged. With Ning Rongrong's help, Wang Chua's strength, speed, soul power, and defense all increased by 50%. Her overall abilities increased significantly. Right now, Wang Chua was equivalent to a Golden Dragon Soul Master who was close to becoming a Soul King. Fight! Wang Chua pounced towards Yu Tianxin after receiving her help. Her fist, which was shining with golden light, punched towards Yu Tianxin. Yu Tianxin didn't back down either. She waved her thunderbolt dragon claws and clawed at Wang Chua. Golden light flashed, and lightning splashed in all directions. Wang Chua and Yu Tianxin clashed intensely. This didn't seem like a fight between humans. Instead, it was more like a fight between 2 human-shaped tyrannosauruses. It made sense to call them human-shaped tyrannosauruses. After all, the Golden Dragon and Blue Lightning tyrannosauruses had dragonification. Right now, Wang Chua and Yu Tianxin's arms and legs were covered in dragon scales. There were even scales sparkling below their necks. In addition, the battle between the 2 of them was abnormally crazy. It would not be wrong to call them Tyrannosaurus Rex. Between Chua and Yu Tianxin, who do you think will win? Zhu Zhuqing asked softly. She was no longer jealous as she was hugged by Lu Yuan. Chua, of course. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. You're so confident. Don't look at how intense the fight is right now. Chua still seems to be at a disadvantage. If not for the golden dragon suppressing the blue lightning tyrant dragon, Chou would have lost a long time ago. Indeed, soul power ranks are the most important. Even though Chou has been strengthened by Rong Rong, there's still a huge gap between her and Yu Tianxin's soul power. Zhu Zhuqing sighed softly. Haha, it's true that Chou is at a disadvantage right now, but don't forget that she's not the only one here. Lu Yuan paused for a moment and said, "You mean Qin Sheng?" Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan with her big, black eyes. Of course. Why else did you think I said so much earlier? Qin Sheng's fourth soul skill should be used soon. The biggest weakness of the 4-in-1 is that even though the soul power of the four of them has increased greatly, their spiritual power hasn't increased at all. On the contrary, they have to control this sudden increase in strength, which will greatly deplete their spiritual power. Coincidentally, our Qin Sheng is a soul master adept at spiritual control. Yu Tianxin is unlucky in this round. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants with the strength of a soul emperor. He doesn't even care about his own teammates. However, he doesn't know that a soul emperor isn't as strong as he thinks. Chou, who has been strengthened by the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, can definitely hold him back. In addition to Qin Sheng's fourth soul skill, victory is assured. Lu Yuan's voice was calm, but there was an unquestionable tone to it. This made Zhu Zhuqing believe him immediately. It seems like what you said before the battle wasn't without aim. You have everything planned out. Zhu Zhuqing said softly as she lay in Lu Yuan's arms. Of course. When have I ever done something useless? I said that the key to this battle is Chou and Qin Sheng. One will fight head-on, while the other will restrain him from the shadows. With their cooperation and Rong Rong's support, we won't lose no matter what the Thunder Academy's trump card is. Even though I didn't expect Yu Tianxin's confidence to come from this 4-in-1 fusion skill, it doesn't matter. The strength of a soul emperor can't overturn the heavens. Chou and the others are enough to deal with him. Look, the situation on the stage will prove this point. Lu Yuan said softly. After hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing's gaze couldn't help but turn to the stage. On the stage, Wang Chou and Yu Tianxin were still fiercely clashing. After another exchange, Wang Chou retreated 4 steps, while Yu Tianxin retreated 3 steps. It seemed like Yu Tianxin had the upper hand. What a powerful golden dragon martial soul! Yu Tianxin couldn't help but frown as he looked at Wang Chou. He could feel that his current soul power was definitely 10 ranks higher than Wang Chou's. However, it was still quite strenuous for him to fight her. Wang Chou was too difficult to deal with. Even if he used all of his strength, he only had a slight advantage. Furthermore, the golden dragon's suppressive force made him feel very uncomfortable. Under this pressure, he couldn't unleash his full strength. Otherwise, he would have already won. Again, before Yu Tianxin could finish his thoughts, Wang Chou pounced forward and clashed with him again. The 2 human-shaped tyrannosauruses started fighting again. It's about time. Let me help Wang Chou one last time. Fu Qin Sheng's voice rang out. His hands gently plucked the strings of his guqin. His fourth soul ring suddenly lit up, and guqin music that contained dense spiritual undulations spread out. Fourth soul skill, demonic sound confusion. Under Fu Qin Sheng's control, the guqin music that contained spiritual undulations poured into Yu Tianxin's mind and attacked his spirit. What the hell is this? Don't eat me. Get lost. Ah. Yu Tianxin, who was fighting against Wang Chou, was struck by the demonic tune's dazzling demonic tune. He immediately fell into an illusion. In the illusion, he saw a huge golden dragon swallowing half of his body. The intense pain instantly engulfed his brain, and he couldn't help but cry out in pain. This was the terrifying part of the demonic sound confusion. The pain that one felt in the illusion would be reflected in the depths of one's brain. It was also because of this that if one was affected by the demonic sound confusion for too long, it would cause great damage to one's spiritual power. Fourth soul skill, Golden Dragon Explosion. After seeing Yu Tianxin being controlled by Fu Qin Sheng, Wang Chou took the opportunity to use her fourth soul skill. She sent Yu Tianxin flying off the stage and obtained victory. Chapter 550. A golden light burst forth, and the intense energy from the golden dragon explosion sent Yu Tianxin flying. Blood splattered everywhere, and he crashed into the ground with a loud bang. Wang Chua didn't hold back at all in this move. Under the control of the demonic sound dazzling, Yu Tianxin was hit by Wang Chua's fourth soul skill, and the injuries caused to him weren't light. At least 7 or 8 of his ribs were broken, and his internal organs were also damaged. Even with the treatment of a healing-type soul master, Yu Tianxin would need at least half a month to fully recover. Not being able to fight for half a month was a nightmare for the Thunder Academy. Without Yu Tianxin, the Thunder Academy's road to the tournament would be much more bumpy. Captain. Yu Tianxin landed on the ground. He was already heavily injured, and after receiving such a blow, he immediately fainted. Seeing Yu Tianxin like this, the Thunder Academy's students hurriedly surrounded him. "Aren't you guys a little too ruthless?" One of the Thunder Academy's members saw Yu Tianxin's miserable state, and angrily questioned the Heavenly Star Academy's team. Seeing the angry face of the Thunder Academy's student, Fu Qingqing's expression was calm as he said, "I only have one question. Is Yu Tianxin dead?" Hearing Fu Qingqing's words, that student couldn't help but be stunned, and became silent. According to the tournament's rules, you couldn't kill a contestant, but there was no rule that said you couldn't cripple them. Unless the opponent surrendered, then you couldn't continue attacking. However, Yu Tianxin didn't say anything about surrendering, so what Wang Chua and the rest did was completely within the scope of the tournament's rules, and there was nothing wrong with it. Seeing the speechless Thunder Academy's member, Fu Qingqing, and the rest turned their heads away, and didn't pay any more attention to him. On the stage, the referee's voice rang out. "The match is over, and the Heavenly Star Academy is victorious. Thank you for bringing us such an exciting match, and let us all cheer for them. Heavenly Star, Heavenly Star, Heavenly Star." Wang Chua. Hearing the referee's words, the audience in the spectators' stands immediately cheered. This match could be said to be the most intense match in Group A since the start of the tournament. The Thunder Academy's 4-1 was indeed surprising, but the Heavenly Star Academy's performance was even more spectacular. This was especially true for Wang Chua. She had single-handedly challenged Yu Tianxin, and her fighting prowess had left everyone trembling in fear. In addition to her beautiful looks, she was like a valiant war goddess, and she had instantly attracted a huge wave of fans. Listening Chua, Wang Chua, and the others. It's her was the first time receiving the attention. But at the same time, there was also a trace of happiness in her heart. Of course, it wasn't just Wang Chua. The other members of the Heavenly Star Academy's team, such as Fu Qingqing, also received a lot of support from the audience with his powerful spiritual control. Ning Rongrong's peerless support from the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda also made the audience gasp in amazement. Seeing the Heavenly Star Academy enjoying the cheers in the arena, the other academies in the spectators' stands all had different reactions. Ever since the Heavenly Star Academy had been singled out by the 2 big shots Dugu Bo and Ning Fengji at the start of the tournament, the Heavenly Star Academy had been viewed as the strongest opponent by every team in the Heaven-Do region. Almost every match of the Heavenly Star Academy would be watched by many other academies. But today, apart from the ordinary battle teams, other than the God Wind Academy, the Heavenly Water Academy, the Blazing Fire Academy, the Weevil Academy and the Botany Academy that had just finished their competition, it could be said that the strong teams of the Heaven-Do competition zone were basically all gathered here. I didn't expect Wang Chua to be so valiant. It seems like she was hiding her strength before. Thinking of Wang Chua's valiant performance, Shui Bing-er's ice-blue eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Indeed, Yu Tianxin's strength is comparable to a Soul Emperor. However, Wang Chua was able to fight so fiercely with Ning Rongrong's help. Wang Chua's strength is indeed extremely valiant. Hearing Shui Bing-er's words, Hua Wushuang agreed. Not only that, there's also that Fu Qingqing. His spiritual control is also very strange and difficult to deal with. If Yu Tianxin wasn't under Fu Qingqing's spiritual control, it would be very difficult for Wang Chua to win. I didn't expect the Thunder Academy to have such a 4-body fusion technique. They hid it well, but it's a pity that they still lost. Hua Wu stared at Lei Ting as her clear voice rang out. In the end, the Heavenly Star Academy is still too strong. Don't forget, they still have 2 people who haven't gone up yet. Furthermore, they are the captain and vice-captain of the Heavenly Star Academy. Wang Chua's strength has already reached such a level. You can imagine how strong Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing are. Especially Lu Yuan. He was so strong back then. Now, it's very likely that he's stronger than we imagined. Sister, do you really want to stubbornly fight with him? I'm afraid that you'll lose your confidence. Looking at Hua Wu Shuang said softly. His tone was filled with deep concern. Don't worry, brother. No matter how strong he is, I won't lose my confidence. This battle is inevitable. Ever since he swept through the Heaven Do Imperial Academy 4 years ago, I've always wanted to fight with him. Now that I finally have the chance, I won't give it up. Hearing Hua Wu Shuang's advice, Hua Wu didn't give up. Instead, her fighting spirit became even stronger. She looked at Lu Yuan's direction with a burning gaze. Her eyes were filled with burning flames. Sigh, do as you wish. Hua Wu Shuang sighed helplessly. Since Hua Wu was so stubborn, he couldn't do anything about it. Losing was inevitable. He could only hope that Lu Yuan would go easy on Hua Wu because she was a girl. Sister, if we meet Prince Charming, will we also fight with him? Hearing the conversation between Hua Wu and her sister, Shui Yu pulled Shui Bing's sleeve and whispered into her ear. What do you think, Yu? Do we fight or surrender? Shui Bing looked at her sister and asked softly. I don't know. On one hand, Prince Charming's battle team is too strong. I'm afraid we won't be their match. On the other hand, I want to fight with Prince Charming on the stage. I feel a little conflicted in my heart. Shui Yu frowned and said with a distressed expression. Since Yu wants to fight, then let's have a match. Shui Bing said with a faint smile. Sister, aren't you afraid of losing too miserably and hurting your confidence? Shui Yu asked. I'm afraid. But on the other hand, I'm more looking forward to fighting with the strong. Shui Bing said softly. Her icy blue eyes flickered with fighting spirit. She was also a proud daughter of heaven. She also yearned to fight with more powerful geniuses. In this aspect, she and Hua Wu were the same. It was just that Hua Wu was more outgoing while she was more reserved. Chapter 551. Ha ha ha. Just when Fire Dance, Shui Bing and the others were discussing with a dignified face, a burst of laughter suddenly sounded. Hua Wu Shuang and the others turned around to look, only to find that it was Huyen Li from the Elephant Academy who was laughing. Huyen Li, are you crazy? Seeing Huyen Li laughing, Hua Wu Shuang couldn't help but ask. I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I didn't think that the Heavenly Star Academy would actually have such a powerful strength. Haha, only they are worthy to be the opponent of our Elephant Armor Academy. If we can defeat them, our Elephant Armor Academy's reputation will definitely soar. As Huyen Li said this, he thought of his victory over the Heavenly Star Academy, and the admiration of those young ladies. He couldn't help but laugh, and his face was full of longing. Seeing the expression on Huyen Li's face, Hua Wu Shuang couldn't help but have a black line on his forehead. Want to defeat the Heavenly Star Academy? I don't know where you get your confidence from. Didn't you see what happened to Yu Tianxin? When he went on the stage, he was full of confidence, even more arrogant than you, but the result was that he was beaten unconscious, and had to lie in bed for at least half a month. If Yu Tianxin was so confident because he hadn't seen the real strength of the Heavenly Star Academy, and also because he had a 4-in-1 trump card, then it could be pardoned. But you, Huyen Li, have watched the whole competition, and still have such a confident expression. What are you pretending for? Do you really think you are a peerless master? Do you think I, Hua Wu Shuang, don't know what you are? Your Elephant Academy might not even be able to defeat our Blazing Fire Academy, but you still dare to say that you want to defeat the Heavenly Star Academy. You are really awesome. Didn't you see that we and the Heavenly Water Academy didn't dare to say that? But you are really arrogant. Hua Wu Shuang wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Even Water Ice and Fire Dance couldn't help revealing strange expressions on their faces. They couldn't understand why Hu Yanli was still so confident even after watching the competition. Could it be that the Elephant Academy still had some trump card? Several people secretly muttered in their hearts. Seeing that the Blazing Fire Academy and the Heavenly Water Academy were stunned by his words, Hu Yanli couldn't help but smile proudly. He touched his head. With this thing, his confidence was bursting. After absorbing it, his strength could be said to have skyrocketed. And with it, would that Fu Qin Sheng's attack still be effective against him? Hu Yanli expressed that he wasn't afraid at all. Why would he be afraid of a spiritual attack? Without any spiritual attacks, Wang Qiu'er is the only one who is more eye-catching. However, can she beat so many of us by herself? Our Elephant Armor Academy is made up of burly men. Every one of us is a Hercules. Dealing with a Celestial Star battle team is a piece of cake. As for that Lu Yuan, I've heard them boast that he's quite strong. Anyway, I've never seen him fight. I, Hu Yanli, don't believe that he's that strong. If he goes on stage, I'll give him a good beating. I'll let them know that I, Hu Yanli, am the #1 star of this competition. Let's go. Hu Yanli called out to his little brother, then glanced at Hua Wushuang and the others with a complacent look on his face. After that, he strode away. Boss, wait for me. Seeing Hu Yanli walk away with large strides, his little brother, who had just reacted, quickly chased after him. After Hu Yanli left, Hua Wushuang, Shui Bing-er, and the others couldn't help but look at each other. Their expressions were a little strange. Speaking of which, is there something wrong with Hu Yanli's brain? Do they think they can defeat Prince Charming's team? Shui Yu-er said bluntly before anyone else spoke. Yu-er, don't talk nonsense. Maybe they have some trump card. That's why they're so confident. Shui Bing-er softly interrupted Shui Yu-er. She had a more mature personality and considered more things. Trump card? What kind of trump card does the Elephant Armor Academy have? Do you think I don't know Hu Yanli? He's just a simple-minded person with a well-developed body. What kind of trump card could they have? Moreover, even if they had a trump card, they would still lose. Yu Tianxin had a trump card, but didn't she also lose so badly? Hua Wushuang said with a hint of disdain. Yes. Hearing Hua Wushuang's words, Shui Bing-er nodded lightly. Although she was mature and considered a lot, and believed that the Elephant Armor Academy had some trump card, she still didn't think highly of them. In a situation where the difference in strength was too big, any means would be useless. Brother, you said something wrong. Just when everyone thought that Hua Wushuang's words made sense, Fire Dance's voice suddenly rang out. What's wrong, sister? Hua Wushuang couldn't help but ask doubtfully. You said they're simple-minded. Actually, that's not right. They're not simple-minded, they're stupid. The Elephant Armor Academy's team is a group of idiots who only grow muscles and not brains. Fire Dance said lightly. Ah, sister, what you said makes sense. Only grow muscles and not brains. This description of the Elephant Armor Academy's team was really F***king fitting. Weren't they a group of brainless muscleheads? He didn't expect his sister to describe them so vividly. Hua Wushuang thought to himself. Hearing her brother's words, Fire Dance didn't reply. In her opinion, the Elephant Armor Academy wasn't worth too much attention, and Lu Yuan was a strong opponent that she wanted to defeat. She blinked her beautiful eyes slightly and glanced in the direction of Lu Yuan and the others. There, the Heavenly Star Academy's team members had all left the arena. Brother. Wang Qiu'er jumped into Lu Yuan's arms as soon as she got off the arena. She hugged him tightly, and her small head gently rubbed against Lu Yuan's chest. Brother, how was Qiu'er's performance just now? After rubbing against Lu Yuan's chest for a while, Wang Qiu'er raised her small head and looked at Lu Yuan expectantly. Of course Qiu'er's performance was good. Just now Qiu'er was like a goddess of war, valiant and charming. You see, so many of the audience were conquered by Qiu'er. You now have a large group of fans. Rubbing Wang Qiu'er's head, Lu Yuan smiled slightly. Hee. Wang Qiu'er chuckled when she heard Lu Yuan's compliment. She looked very cute and innocent. Wang Qiuer's cute appearance made Lu Yuan gently pinch Wang Qiuer's cheeks. His gaze turned to Fu Qinsheng and the others, and a smile appeared on his face. He said warmly, "Today's match was very good. It's already noon, I'll treat everyone to a meal at the Star Blue Hotel to celebrate." "Yeah, Captain is so generous." As soon as Lu Yuan finished speaking, everyone couldn't help but cheer. The food at the Star Blue Hotel was really good, and the service was really good. They fell in love with it the last time they went there, but the price was too high and they couldn't afford it. Now that they heard that Lu Yuan was going to treat them again, they were all happy. They could have a good meal again and eat to their heart's content. "Hihi, let's go now." Looking at everyone's expressions, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and led the way towards the exit. At the same time, in an inconspicuous corner, a silver-gray figure was staring at the direction that Lu Yuan and the others left. His eyes were filled with darkness and hatred. Chapter 552. Star Blue Hotel, in a private room. "Everyone, don't be polite, sit down. Today's competition has been hard for everyone. Thunder Academy is a difficult opponent, but everyone still won so easily. It seems that these 3 months of training have not been in vain. Everyone's strength has increased a lot. There are no outsiders here today, so everyone does not need to be restrained. Eat what you want, drink what you want, eat to your heart's content." Looking at everyone, Lu Yuan smiled slightly. "Yes, Captain." Hearing Lu Yuan's words, everyone found a seat and sat down. Lu Yuan casually found a seat and sat down, while Zhu Zhuqing and Wang Qiuer sat on Lu Yuan's left and right sides. "Everyone, let's eat, don't look at me." Seeing that everyone was still staring at him, Lu Yuan could not help but say, "Captain, if you don't eat first, how would we dare?" Looking at Lu Yuan, Ling Wei said with a bitter smile. In public, Lu Yuan was the palace master of Dragon King Palace, and was their top boss. In private, Lu Yuan was their captain. If Lu Yuan did not eat, how would they dare? One must know that except for Jing Ling, Jiang Zhu and Ning Rongrong, everyone else was from Dragon King Palace. How would they dare to eat first in front of Lu Yuan, the palace master? This was like modern society, where the leader had not sat down, and you as a subordinate sat down first. Wasn't that courting death? Although Lu Yuan said to let them eat first, no one would do so. After all, Lu Yuan did not care about these rules, but they still had to abide by them. Although Jing Ling and Jiang Zhu did not know that Lu Yuan was the palace master of Dragon King Palace, and even in the entire Heavenly Star Academy, except for Liu Erlong, no one else knew about Lu Yuan's identity. But this did not mean that Jing Ling and Jiang Zhu dared to not follow the rules in front of Lu Yuan. One must know that Heavenly Star Academy belonged to Lu Yuan, and as students, they naturally respected Lu Yuan. This was a very normal thing. "You guys." Looking at the crowd, Lu Yuan shook his head helplessly. This was the difference brought about by their identities. Even if he wanted to mingle with them, they were all restrained. Forget it, forget it. Let's not think too much about it. Lu Yuan picked up his chopsticks and casually picked up some food. Then, he glanced around and said, "Let's eat, everyone." Seeing that Lu Yuan had started eating, the rest of the people also started eating. It was almost 11 o'clock when the competition ended. After spending some time here, it was almost 12 o'clock. They were really hungry. He picked up some fish for Zhu Zhuqing and a few pieces of meat for Wang Qiuer. Needless to say, Zhu Zhuqing loved to eat fish the most, but she also ate other things and was not picky. However, Wang Qiuer was a little different. She was a carnivore, and loved to eat meat. Furthermore, she was very picky about her food. She wouldn't eat anything that didn't taste good, and she rarely touched vegetables. At most, she would eat some fruits. This probably had something to do with her being a soul beast. For example, Xiao Wu still loved to eat carrots even after she transformed. This was her nature, and it couldn't be changed. "Qiuer, is the food here good?" Once again, he picked up a large piece of golden steak for Wang Qiuer. This steak was made from the meat of a 1,000-year black-armored rhinoceros. It tasted very good, but it was also very expensive. Only a big hotel like the Star Blue Hotel sold this kind of 1,000-year soul beast meat. It was very difficult to find it in other small hotels. After all, it wasn't easy to capture a 1,000-year soul beast. It required a certain level of strength. It's delicious. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu'er lifted her head. Her little mouth was glistening with oil, and some oil even dripped onto her nose. Hey, you little girl. Why don't you pay more attention to your food? Lu Yuan waved his hand, and a clean handkerchief appeared in his hand. He used the handkerchief to wipe the oil off Wang Qiu'er's nose. Wang Qiu'er loved the feeling of being pampered by Lu Yuan. Just as Lu Yuan was about to retract his hand, Wang Qiu'er grabbed his hand. Elder brother, can you accompany me to play after we finish eating? Just the two of us. Wang Qiu'er blinked her pinkish blue eyes, and there was a strong sense of anticipation in her eyes. All right, it's Friday today, and there's no competition in the next 2 days. There's no need to rush. Let's play with my little Qiu'er today. After seeing Wang Qiu'er's cute eyes, Lu Yuan couldn't bear to reject her. He immediately agreed. Yay, I know that elder brother is the best. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu'er cheered. Her little mouth was still glistening with oil, and she pressed it onto Lu Yuan's face. After that, Wang Qiu'er started to struggle with the black-armored rhinoceros steak in her bowl. This little girl. As he looked at Wang Qiu'er, Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head. She kissed him just like that. He didn't even need to think to know that she must have left a greasy mark on his face. Lu Yuan picked up the handkerchief that he had used to wipe Wang Qiu'er's nose. Just as he was about to wipe his face, his hands were suddenly empty. The handkerchief had been taken away by Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing was holding the handkerchief in her hand as she gently wiped the greasy mark on Lu Yuan's face. Zhuqing, you can go back first. I'll get elder sister Xiaodao to escort you back. Lu Yuan smiled as he grabbed Zhu Zhuqing's hand. What about you? If elder sister Xiaodao isn't around, who's going to protect you? Zhu Zhuqing asked. Do I still need protection? With my current abilities, ordinary titled Douluo can't threaten me unless they're transcendent Douluo. I can do whatever I want in Heaven Do Imperial City. I'm no longer the same person as before. Furthermore, ZG is protecting Qiu'er in secret. She's even stronger than elder sister Xiaodao. She won't be in any danger. Lu Yuan smiled as he spoke. Okay, all right then. Zhu Zhuqing nodded after hearing Lu Yuan's words. She was relieved. But don't go too crazy. Remember to come back early. Zhu Zhuqing said softly. We will. Don't worry. Lu Yuan gently caressed Zhu Zhuqing's hand and smiled. Captain, we'll take our leave first. Fu Qinsheng, Ling Wei, and the rest bade farewell to Lu Yuan one by one. They were going to return to the academy. Ning Rongrong was also going to return to the academy with Fu Qinsheng and the rest. However, she still couldn't bear to part with Lu Yuan. Let's go. Be careful on the road. Lu Yuan smiled as he waved at everyone. I'll take my leave too. Remember to come back early with Qiu'er. Zhu Zhuqing was still worried as she reminded him again. Got it. Lu Yuan replied gently. Zhu Zhuqing nodded when she saw this and left with Ma Xiaodao. Let's go, little Qiu'er. I'll accompany you. Tell me, where do you want to go? Lu Yuan smiled as he rubbed Wang Qiu'er's head. Chapter 553. Elder brother, I want this. Wang Qiu'er's voice rang out as she pointed at the barbecued meat skewer on the stove. Lu Yuan was speechless when he saw this scene. He said softly, Qiu'er, you just had lunch. But I want to eat. Elder brother, let's buy 2 skewers, okay? Wang Qiu'er grabbed Lu Yuan's hand and shook it. She blinked her big eyes and frowned. She looked pitiful. All right, let's buy it if you want to eat. How could Lu Yuan resist Wang Qiu'er's pitiful attack? Lu Yuan couldn't resist Wang Qiu'er's cute little sister's coquettish behavior at all. He immediately took out his money and bought a bunch of skewers. Yay, elder brother is the best. Wang Qiu'er took the barbecued meat. She held a skewer in one hand and ate as she walked. She didn't care about her image at all. Thus, the scene in everyone's eyes was a fairy-like golden-haired beauty skipping forward while gnawing on the barbecued meat in her hand. Behind her was an equally handsome fairy-like young man, holding a large handful of barbecued meat in his hand, and a bitter smile on his handsome face. Wang Qiu'er was young and energetic. She was also very curious. She wanted to try everything that was fun and delicious. After half a day, Lu Yuan was exhausted. He felt that he wasn't even this tired after a fight. As he saw that the sun was about to set, Lu Yuan stopped Wang Qiu'er, who still wanted to buy a lot of things. "Qiu'er, it's getting late. We should go back. Let's buy more the next time we come out," Lu Yuan said softly. "All right then." After hearing Lu Yuan's words and looking at the sky, Wang Qiu'er nodded obediently. Although she liked to play, she was still very sensible. "Qiu'er is so obedient." Lu Yuan smiled as he rubbed Wang Qiu'er's head. "Let's go then, Qiu'er." Lu Yuan smiled as he held Wang Qiu'er's hand. "Okay." Wang Qiu'er nodded and allowed Lu Yuan to pull her towards the Dragon King Hall. The sun had already set, and the afterglow dyed the sky red. Lu Yuan and Wang Qiu'er walked quietly on the main road outside Heaven Do Imperial City. There was not the slightest shadow of a person on the main road. The sky was clearly still bright, but the wind that blew carried a faint chill, making people feel clearly uncomfortable. "Elder brother, something doesn't seem right." Wang Qiu'er suddenly grabbed Lu Yuan's hand. There was a serious look on her face. "Why? Little Qiu'er, did you feel it too?" After hearing Wang Qiu'er's words, Lu Yuan didn't seem surprised at all. It was as if he had already realized this. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu'er immediately replied, "Yes, my innate senses tell me that danger is approaching. This feeling is very strong, and I can't help but feel a little apprehensive. Don't be afraid, Qiu'er. Elder brother is here. Elder brother won't let you get hurt." Lu Yuan gently squeezed Wang Qiu'er's little hand as he said gently. Although Lu Yuan's words were soft, they carried a strange power that made Wang Qiu'er unconsciously believe him. "Come out. Why are you hiding?" Lu Yuan's dual pupils flickered slightly as his indifferent voice rang out. "Haha, you are indeed the captain of the Celestial Star Academy. Your senses are indeed extraordinary. You can actually sense my presence. However, this won't change your fate of death." After Lu Yuan finished speaking, a slightly old voice rang out. A figure appeared not far in front of Lu Yuan. It was an elder wearing silver-gray clothes. "Tsanghui Academy's Shenyan?" Looking at this elder, Lu Yuan said indifferently. Looking at this person's appearance, wasn't he Shenyan from the Tsanghui Academy? What, did this guy want to kill him now? Lu Yuan's mouth couldn't help but reveal a sneer. The trash that was killed by Tang San in the original novel also dared to find trouble with him? Haha, it seems that your memory is very good. It is indeed me. I have been watching you for a long time. Finally, I have waited for the moment when you are alone. Your Celestial Star Academy severely injured our Tsanghui Academy's members, causing them to be unable to compete. You caused our Tsanghui Academy to lose several matches and have no hope of advancing to the next round. This hatred can finally be avenged today. Shenyan said indifferently, but his tone carried an unconcealable murderous intent. Haha, our Celestial Star Academy and your Tsanghui Academy competed and won fair and square, without any tricks. Everything that we did was within the scope of the competition. You lost because your skills were not as good as others, but we were already merciful. I didn't expect that you, the teacher leading the team, actually have the face to bully the weak and find trouble with us. As Lu Yuan said, he shook his head slightly, as if expressing disdain for Shenyan's actions. Haha, bullying the weak. When have I ever cared about these things? In this world, only the winner is king and the loser is a bandit. Since you have caused our Tsanghui Academy to have no hope of advancing to the next round, then today I will make you and the little girl beside you completely disappear. Consider it as collecting some interest. And I won't let the rest of your team off either. I will make them accompany you one by one. Shenyan said sinisterly. Heh, you're quite brave. Perhaps you don't know who I am, so I won't mention it. Among the remaining people were the little princess of the 7 treasures glazed sect and the granddaughter of the poisoned Douluo. How dare you kill people like them? After hearing Shenyan's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, What's there to be afraid of? Why wouldn't I dare? As long as I clean it up, who would know that I killed him? For example, if I kill you and then destroy your corpse, will that so-called Dragon Emperor Douluo know that I killed them? Other than being incompetent and furious, what can he do to me? Your biggest mistake is that you clearly have the protection of someone as strong as the Dragon Emperor Douluo, but you didn't let him follow by your side. Otherwise, with him around, I really wouldn't dare to make a move. Shenyan said plainly. Haha, look at how confident you are. Are you that confident that you can kill me? Lu Yuan asked with interest as he looked at Shenyan. Of course. I am a soul sage, while you are at most a soul ancestor. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. Although Shenyan couldn't tell Lu Yuan's exact rank, he believed that Lu Yuan was at most a soul ancestor. With such strength, how could he escape from a soul sage like him? Sigh, there are always so many people in this world who are blindly confident. They always think that they can do it, but you really can't. As he looked quietly at Shenyan, Lu Yuan's expression gradually turned cold. Lu Yuan spat out a sentence, and his indifferent voice rang out. You are just a soul sage with 7 soul rings. Why do you want to seek your own death? After he finished speaking, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly focused. A bright light flickered, and a dense killing intent spread from his body. Chapter 554. You're just a soul sage with 7 soul rings. Why do you have to seek your own death? Lu Yuan said plainly. His eyes flashed with a strange light. Just a soul sage? Kid, how arrogant of you. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Shenyan was enraged. His figure suddenly turned illusory. At the same time, the scenery around him also changed. Kid, die a painful death in my remnant dream. Shenyan's voice became increasingly hazy. His entire figure disappeared. A strange undulation instantly engulfed Lu Yuan and Wang Qiu. Elder brother, where are you? Qiu can't see you. Lu Yuan was still observing everything around him. Wang Qiu's anxious voice rang in his ears. Qiu. Lu Yuan hurriedly looked at Wang Qiu beside him. Right now, her pinkish-blue eyes were numb. She was in a daze. She had already fallen deeply into an illusion. Although Wang Qiu had the Golden Dragon's sensory abilities, her cultivation was too far from Shenyan's. She was still affected by his remnant dream. Wang Qiu said anxiously. Her face was full of worry and fear. In her impression, she was still with Lu Yuan. Suddenly, Lu Yuan disappeared. She immediately became nervous and afraid. Qiu, elder brother is here. Lu Yuan pulled Wang Qiu into his arms. His body exuded a dense light. It was the power of his clear Qi God's power. The clear Qi God's power was injected into Wang Qiu's body. She immediately broke free from the illusion. Elder brother. After seeing Lu Yuan's figure again, Wang Qiu immediately hugged Lu Yuan tightly. Her delicate body trembled slightly in Lu Yuan's arms. Lu Yuan gently caressed Wang Qiu's bright golden hair. He said gently, Qiu, close your eyes. Okay, elder brother. Wang Qiu nodded when she heard this, and she shut her pretty pinkish-blue eyes tightly. When he saw this, Lu Yuan hugged Wang Qiu's body with his left hand. He lifted his head slightly, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The reason why he asked Wang Qiu to close her eyes was because he didn't want her to see him kill someone. He didn't want the bloody scene to taint her eyes. Where do you think you can hide in front of me? The light from his polychoria flickered. Shenyan's figure had nowhere to hide. Polychoria, chaotic light. Lu Yuan bellowed. 2 rays of milky white light shot out from his polychoria, directly hitting the space not far away. The space cracked, and Shenyan's figure immediately appeared. At the same time, The illusion that Shenyan had been maintaining using the remnant dream martial spirit also collapsed in an instant. Ah! My eyes! Shenyan clasped his eyes tightly with both hands. There was a trace of shock in his tone. Lu Yuan's light of chaos just now had blasted both his eyes apart. Thick blood flowed out from his eye sockets. Just one move was enough to inflict unimaginable damage on Shenyan. How can you find me in my remnant dream? There was a hint of disbelief in Shenyan's tone. In all the years since his debut, this was the first time someone had found him directly within the range of his remnant dream. Not only did he find him, but he was also severely injured. Shenyan couldn't help but be shocked. Was this something that a young man could do? What kind of monster was this person in front of him? What can a mere illusion do to me? There's no one in this world who can hide under my nose without being discovered. In my opinion, your tricks are laughable. Lu Yuan revealed a look of disdain at the corner of his mouth. His right hand flashed with golden light, and the golden dragon spear appeared in his hand. Cut the crap. How dare you frighten my sister? Go and die, unpredictable storm. Lu Yuan drew a circle in the air, and a golden halo flew out immediately, trapping Shenyan's body in place. The unpredictable storm was very difficult to block. Furthermore, Shenyan's eyes had been destroyed, and his spiritual power was severely injured. How could he possibly dodge it? It's over. As he looked at Shenyan, who was restrained by the unpredictable storm, Lu Yuan threw his golden dragon spear. Golden light flashed, and Shenyan's body flew more than 10 meters away as he screamed tragically. He landed upside down on the ground. Lu Yuan hugged Wang Qiu'er and tapped his foot. He covered more than 10 meters in an instant. He pulled out his golden dragon spear and stabbed it into Shenyan's brain. He flicked it gently, and a dazzling skull flew out from Shenyan's brain. Lu Yuan used his soul power to envelop the skull in the air. He exhaled his soul power and removed the impurities on the soul bone. Only then did he receive it. As he looked at the dazzling skull in his hand, Lu Yuan knew that this was the illusory realm skull from the original novel. Its quality was not bad. Although it wasn't very old, it was more than 10,000 years old. It was relatively precious. As he gently tossed the illusory realm skull in his hand, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile as he looked at Shenyan's corpse. You're not very strong, but you're quite qualified to be a giveaway. I've already said that you're just a soul sage. Why must you seek your own death? It's just that you didn't listen to me. Sigh, there's no choice. There's always someone who likes to seek death. He shook his head gently and kept the illusory realm skull in his astral ring. As he carried Wang Qiu'er, Lu Yuan turned around and left. As for whether Shenyan's corpse was taken care of, that was none of his business. He only cared about killing, not burying. After advancing another few hundred meters, Lu Yuan confirmed that they were very far away from before. Wang Qiu'er couldn't see Shenyan's corpse anymore. Then, he put her down. Qiu'er, open your eyes. Lu Yuan smiled. Elder brother, did you kill that person? Wang Qiu'er asked crisply. Yes, I killed him. Don't be afraid, Qiu'er. Chapter 555. What's the matter today? Why are you up so early? Zhu Zhuqing was still lying on the bed when she saw that Lu Yuan was already fully dressed. She was a little puzzled as she asked him this question. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan smiled and said, There's someone who I think will be coming today. I have to get up to welcome him, so I can't get up too late. Someone? Who is it? Zhu Zhuqing asked. Who else could it be? That old fox Ning Fengji. After I finished crafting my soul tool, I sealed it in the warehouse because of the tournament. I haven't sent it to him since. I'm afraid he's already very anxious. Furthermore, I heard from Elder Dugu that the Snowy Night Emperor wants to rope me in. If I'm not mistaken, Ning Fengji will be the first to persuade him. He'll do his best to pull me to the Heaven Do imperial family. After all, he's still supporting the Heaven Do Empire. Lu Yuan said softly. What do you want to do? Zhu Zhuqing asked curiously. Of course I'll go with the flow. I'll take this opportunity to get involved in the game between the upper echelons of the Heaven Do Empire. I'll work with Cher to swallow the entire Heaven Do Empire. Lu Yuan said plainly. I see. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Zhu Zhuqing pondered for a moment before saying, even though that's the case, you can't agree too quickly. Otherwise, if things go too smoothly, it'll arouse suspicion. Of course. After hearing this, Lu Yuan smiled and said, if they want to rope me in, they'll have to pay a price. If they don't give me some benefits, I won't agree. Don't worry about this. I've already made plans. It's good that you have a plan. Zhu Zhuqing nodded gently as she thought about how Lu Yuan had always been meticulous in his plans. Suddenly, her lips curled into a weird smile. The Snowy Night Emperor is really courting death. He actually opened the door for a wolf like you. I find it funny when I think about how he wants to rope in the martial Soul Palace's holy son. Heh, who asked me to keep my identity a secret? From the point of view of the Snowy Night Emperor, it is not wrong for him to rope me in. On the contrary, it is very wise because the current Dragon King Palace is indeed very strong, even stronger than the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. It is normal for him to rope me in. However, this seemingly correct decision is based on the fact that I'm only the Dragon King Palace Lord. In reality, I'm still the holy son of the martial Soul Palace. This decision of his is pushing the Heaven Do Empire further into the abyss. From a third party's point of view, I have to say that his actions are a little ridiculous. With that, Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh. Well, I'll go out first. You can sleep for a while. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan's eyes had a trace of concern. No, I'll get up too. I'll go with you later. Didn't you say that you wanted me to learn more about these things by your side? Zhu Zhuqing said with a smile. Oh, all right then. Hearing this, Lu Yuan considered for a moment, and then nodded. The blazing sun hung in the sky, and bright golden light shone on the ground. In the guest room of the Dragon King Palace, Lu Yuan and Ning Fengji were sitting opposite each other. Abuchi, we haven't met for a long time, right? Ning Fengji said warmly as he looked at Lu Yuan opposite him. Not that long. It's only been a little more than a year. Lu Yuan said plainly. A little more than a year is already very long. Ning Fengji sighed as he sipped his tea. Abuchi, where have you been for the past year? I've been here a few times, but you weren't around. Ning Fengji asked softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. Something happened during the past year, and I couldn't get away. I also didn't have the time to craft soul tools. I've caused some inconvenience for Uncle Ning. Lu Yuan said softly. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji was moved. He knew that Lu Yuan didn't want to talk about where he had been for the past year. However, he was also a smart person. Since Lu Yuan didn't want to talk about it, he didn't ask. Ning Fengji's tone changed as he smiled faintly and said, it's fine for me. It's fine if I procure all the soul tools later. It's just that Rong Rong is pitiful. She's missed you very much over the past year, and she's lost a lot of weight. My heart aches when I see her. She's gotten a lot better after you came back, and she's become more energetic. Abuchi, you've really charmed my Rong Rong. After hearing Ning Fengji's words, Lu Yuan's body trembled slightly. He couldn't help but glance at Ning Rongrong, who had been standing quietly beside Ning Fengji. Right now, her cheeks were rosy, and her jade-like hands were tightly gripping the corners of her dress. She looked very shy, but her gaze was still bold as she looked at Lu Yuan. Her eyes were burning with passion, and they were filled with deep affection. Ahem. After meeting Ning Rongrong's gaze, Lu Yuan was instantly defeated. He coughed slightly and decisively changed the topic. Uncle Ning, do you have any business with me this time? If you want soul tools, I've already crafted a batch. They're in the warehouse. When the time comes, you can take them away. After seeing that Lu Yuan had changed the topic, Ning Rongrong bit her red lips gently. There was a tinge of disappointment in her eyes. Why is it so difficult for me to be with Lu Yuan? Ning Fengji glanced at Ning Rongrong before looking at Lu Yuan, who had changed the topic. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seems like it'll take some time for Rongrong to pursue this fellow. After thinking for a while, Ning Fengji revealed a smile on his face again. He said, I've come to find you for some important matters today. Soul tools are just one of them. The other matter is to help someone pass on a message. What message? Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows and pretended not to know anything. Haha, this should be good news for you. His Majesty has long heard of your name. He wants to invite you to meet him next Sunday so that we can get to know each other. Ning Fengji smiled. Get to know each other? I'm afraid he's trying to rope me in. After hearing this, Lu Yuan tapped his finger on the table and said with a half-smile. Haha, His Majesty does have this intention. Ning Fengji said with a smile. He didn't have any intention of refuting. This was because he knew that Lu Yuan was also a smart person. He had already seen through everything. Since that was the case, he might as well admit it openly. Furthermore, this matter was related to the Snowy Night Emperor. It didn't have much to do with Ning Fengji. If he admitted it, then so be it. There was no harm in admitting it. I knew this old man had other ideas. Otherwise, why would he take the initiative to invite me to meet him? Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Chapter 556. Old Man. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, even Ning Fengji could not help but twitch his mouth. This kid was probably the first person who dared to call the Snowy Night Emperor old man in such an open manner. However, Ning Fengji immediately let it go when he recalled Lu Yuan's actions at the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. This brat had killed a member of the imperial family like Prince Xuexing without any hesitation. If it weren't for the fact that Qing he had pleaded for Xuexing and offered the Heaven Do Empire's vast sea cosmic shroud as compensation, then Prince Xuexing would have ceased to exist long ago. It was perfectly normal for someone like him to call the Snowy Night Emperor old man. Ning Fengji thought that this kid's attitude towards him had improved after a few years. He thought that his personality had changed, but he didn't think that he was still the same as before. He still had no respect for the imperial family. However, he was now the Hall Master of the Dragon King Palace. It was normal for him to have no respect for the imperial family. After all, he wouldn't have been able to establish a force like the Dragon King Palace if he didn't have the guts. Ning Fengji thought to himself. What's wrong, Uncle Ning? Is there something wrong with calling him old man? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask when he heard the surprise in Ning Fengji's voice. Ning Fengji smiled bitterly when he heard this. Abuchi, he's the emperor of the Heaven Do Empire. It doesn't seem right to call him old man. Although Ning Fengji had always known Lu Yuan's personality, hearing Lu Yuan call him an old man still made Ning Fengji feel a little strange. After all, the Snowy Night Emperor was the emperor. If Lu Yuan kept calling him an old man, wouldn't that be a little too embarrassing? So what? Even if he's the emperor, it doesn't change the fact that he's an old man. If I don't call him old man, am I supposed to call him handsome boy? Lu Yuan shrugged and said with an innocent look on his face. Fart. Upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Rongrong could not help but burst into laughter. Even Zhu Zhuqing, who had a cold expression on her face, could not help but smile slightly. This guy really knew how to cause trouble. Cough cough, it's you. Hearing this, Ning Fengji didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This kid looked like a very cold person, but his character was completely different. Sometimes he was high and mighty, and sometimes he was approachable and even humorous. This was really a mysterious person. It was no wonder that Rongrong loved him so much. This young man was really special. All right, let's not talk nonsense. Let's get down to business. Uncle Ning, do you think I should accept Emperor Xueyi's invitation and work with the imperial family? Lu Yuan's expression turned serious again. He looked straight at Ning Fengji. Seeing Lu Yuan's serious expression, Ning Fengji's expression also turned serious. From my perspective, I naturally hope you agree to work with Emperor Xueyi and the imperial family. After all, Our Seven Treasures glazed sect has always supported the imperial family. In terms of our own interests, the stronger the imperial family, the better it is for us. The Dragon King Hall is very famous now, and you have the Dragon Emperor Douluo and the Bright Phoenix Douluo. If you cooperate with the Heaven Do imperial family, the Heaven Do imperial family's reputation will rise to another level. Our Seven Treasures glazed sect will be able to benefit from the Heaven Do imperial family's reputation. Therefore, I will naturally do my best to facilitate the cooperation between the two of you. In fact, I'm here on behalf of Emperor Shuiyi to persuade you. I hope you can accept Emperor Shuiyi's good intentions and work with him. Ning Fengji looked calmly at Lu Yuan after he finished speaking. Haha, Uncle Ning is very frank. I haven't even asked for the details yet, but you're already so clear about your intentions. Lu Yuan asked with a smile. I have no choice but to be frank. After all, you're so smart. Even if I didn't say it, you would have guessed it already. If I were to hide it, it would have made you unhappy. I might as well say it openly. At least it would make me seem more magnanimous. Ning Fengji smiled bitterly. Haha, Uncle Ning knows me well. Lu Yuan smiled. He didn't comment on Ning Fengji's words. From your personal perspective, Uncle Ning has chosen to work with us. What about other perspectives? Lu Yuan asked softly as he looked at Ning Fengji. Then, from the perspective of the stability of the entire continent, the Martial Soul Palace is very powerful now. They control more than 60% of the Soul Masters in the world. Furthermore, they've been up to no end in recent years. I'm afraid they're up to no good. A storm is brewing on the entire continent. Furthermore, there was news a year ago that even the vast Heaven Douluo, whose name shook the entire continent, had perished. Although we don't know the exact cause of his death, the vast Heaven Douluo was very powerful. I'm afraid only the Martial Soul Palace has the ability to kill him. Sigh, the Martial Soul Palace is so powerful. If we don't work together, how are we going to contend against them in the future? Ning Fengji sighed softly and said. Ah! Lu Yuan faltered upon hearing this, and a strange look appeared on his face. He turned to Ning Fengji and asked softly, Uncle Ning, didn't Rongrong tell you how the vast Heaven Douluo died? No. Does Rongrong know how the vast Heaven Douluo died? A hint of surprise appeared on Ning Fengji's face upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, and he couldn't help but turn to Ning Rongrong. If it was Elder Jian or Elder Jiyu, Uncle Ning, you can imagine the consequences. Hiss. Ning Fengji drew a cold breath when he heard this. If even the Dragon Emperor Douluo had been defeated, then the Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo would definitely be killed. Abuchi, can you reveal the identity of that savage beast? Ning Fengji asked. That's possible. That's a golden-eyed black dragon king with over 800,000 years of cultivation. It's extremely powerful. Looking at the current continent, if you don't count the gods, it should be the strongest. In a one-on-one fight, no one would be its match, Lu Yuan said faintly. A golden eyes black dragon king with more than 800,000 years of cultivation? Ning Fengji couldn't help but exclaim when he heard this. There was a look of astonishment on his face. He wasn't the only one. Ning Rongrong, the Sword Douluo, and even Zhu Zhuqing, who was beside Lu Yuan, were all astonished. There's actually a soul beast with more than 800,000 years of cultivation in this world. Furthermore, it's a pure-blooded dragon. No wonder it's so powerful. Even Long Xiaoyaro was defeated. A soul beast like this must have reached an unimaginable level. Abuchi, I have a question. If this Golden Eyes Black Dragon King is so powerful, why haven't we heard of it in the world of Soul Masters? Ning Fengji was a little puzzled as he asked. That's because it's always been in a deep slumber. It only woke up not long ago. If Elder Long hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known about this. Lu Yuan said plainly. He used Long Xiaoyaro as a scapegoat once again. I see. Ning Fengji believed Lu Yuan after hearing his words. This was because Lu Yuan's words made sense. He had no choice but to believe him. However, with such a powerful savage beast around, can human soul masters still enter the great Star Do forest to hunt soul beasts? Ning Fengji immediately asked this question. Of course they can. It's fine to hunt ordinary soul beasts as long as they don't enter the core region to hunt 100,000-year soul beasts. Lu Yuan said softly. Phew, that's good. Ning Fengji heaved a sigh of relief after hearing Lu Yuan's words. While 100,000-year soul beasts were precious, there were very few people who needed them. Ordinary 1,000-year or 10,000-year soul beasts were what soul masters needed the most. It was fine as long as they could still hunt soul beasts. As for the core region, the 7 treasures glazed sect wouldn't enter it anyway. As for whether other people would enter, that had nothing to do with him. After all, he couldn't stop others from seeking death. Furthermore, he suddenly realized that Tang Hao's death wasn't unjust at all. Even if he hadn't been killed by the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, he would have been swallowed by the Golden Eyes Black Dragon King. Even the Dragon Emperor had been defeated. Chapter 558. Oh yes, Abuchi, what's your decision about cooperating with the Heaven Do Imperial family? The Martial Soul Palace is too strong right now. We can only fight against the Martial Soul Palace if we work together. Although the Dragon King Palace is strong, there's still a big gap between you and the Martial Soul Palace. The Martial Soul Palace also has its own limit. They have more than 10 titled Douluo, and they're terrifyingly strong. Furthermore, the Martial Soul Palace is very domineering, and they'll kill people at the slightest provocation. The Dragon King Palace is a big tree that attracts the wind. Even if you don't provoke them, they'll still target you. You'll have to face them sooner or later. If you don't work together, it'll be very difficult for you to fight against the Martial Soul Palace. However, it'll be different if you cooperate with the Heaven Do Imperial family. With the entire Heaven Do Empire as your backing, and with the 2 of us working together, we won't have to fear the Martial Soul Palace anymore. Ning Fengji's tone changed as he looked at Lu Yuan. Uncle Ning, aren't you going a little overboard? Is the Martial Soul Palace really as bad as you say? Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head and laugh when he heard Ning Fengji's words. Ari, Abuchi, you don't know. Many geniuses die at the hands of the Martial Soul Palace every year because they don't want to join the Martial Soul Palace. Furthermore, many members of the Martial Soul Palace bully and take advantage of others. These things are very common. Ning Fengji sighed and said with a trace of pity in his voice. Haha. Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle when he heard Ning Fengji's words. There was a trace of mockery in his laughter. Abuchi, why are you laughing? Ning Fengji was a little puzzled as he asked. I'm just laughing at how ridiculous your words are, Uncle Ning. You said that the Martial Soul Palace hunts geniuses and bullies others. Don't the nobles and sects of the Empire do these things? They will only do worse than the Martial Soul Palace. In my opinion, these people are even more despicable than the Martial Soul Palace. At the very least, the Martial Soul Palace has helped commoners awaken their martial souls. They've even given them subsidies and given commoners a way out. That's quite a contribution. But what about the nobles of the Empire? They only know how to exploit the commoners. They are nothing more than a bunch of parasites that lie on the commoners and suck their blood and sweat dry. The Martial Soul Palace is even worse than the Martial Soul Palace. How many commoners die because of the oppression of the 2 empires' nobles every year? Every year, how many families are torn apart because of them? Uncle Ning, don't tell me you don't know anything about these things. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Hearing this, Ning Fengji fell silent. He couldn't refute because what Lu Yuan said was the truth. The current situation of the nobles was just so unbearable. He had already seen many of these things. Father, are the current nobles of the Empire really as unbearable as Abuchi said? Ning Rongrong raised her head and looked at Ning Fengji with disbelief in her eyes. Growing up, she had heard Ning Fengji talk about how tyrannical and evil the martial Soul Palace was more than once. She didn't expect that the sects and nobles of the empire were even more unbearable than the martial Soul Palace. She couldn't believe it for a moment. This is only a small portion. Not all nobles are like this. Facing his daughter's words, Ning Fengji's eyes flickered slightly as he said softly, "Uncle Ning, are you sure it's only a small portion and not the majority?" Lu Yuan's indifferent voice sounded. "Abuchi, do you hate nobles so much? Don't forget, you're also a noble." Seeing Lu Yuan chasing after him, Ning Fengji couldn't help but say, Uncle Ning, this has nothing to do with whether I'm a noble or not. I'm also not hostile to the two empires. What I want to say is, Uncle Ning, when you're trying to persuade me, don't talk about how evil the martial Soul Palace is. That will only make me laugh. Whether they hunt geniuses or not has nothing to do with me. I don't care in the slightest, as long as they don't provoke me. I care more about my own interests. This is the eternal theme between factions. If you want to persuade me, you should start from this aspect and not talk about how evil others are. It's fine to trick children, but don't play this game in front of me. Lu Yuan said indifferently. You brat. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji couldn't help but shake his head helplessly. He didn't think that a day would come where he would be taught a lesson by a youth. Alas, this brat isn't the ordinary kind of mature. It seems that I've underestimated him. Then regarding the cooperation, Abuchi, if you have any other ideas, you can tell Uncle Ning. Uncle Ning will help you convey them. Since Lu Yuan had pointed out the truth, Ning Fengji didn't bother with the empty words and went straight to the main course. Ha. Lu Yuan chuckled at Ning Fengji's words. Uncle Ning, it's useless to say anything more now. You can't make the decision on this matter. As for the specifics, let's talk about it in person with the Snowy Night Emperor. So you're saying that you agree to the cooperation? Hearing this, Ning Fengji revealed a surprised smile on his face. If the Dragon King Hall really cooperated with the Heaven Do imperial family, the Seven Treasures Glazed sect would definitely benefit from it. He couldn't help but be happy about this. It's hard to say whether I agree or not. It depends on the old man's sincerity. If he wants the support of the Dragon King Hall, he'll have to give us some benefits. I won't do anything without benefits. Lu Yuan smiled and said, Of course. I don't think the Emperor will be stingy about this. Ning Fengji continued the conversation and said, Haha, I hope so. My appetite is very big. Lu Yuan said plainly. Haha, don't worry, Abuchi. I know the Emperor. He's very sincere about cooperating with the Dragon King Hall. I think you'll be satisfied with his example. Ning Fengji said with a smile. Hearing this, Lu Yuan shrugged and didn't comment. All right, let's stop here. Uncle Ning, I'll bring you to the warehouse to take a look at the soul tools. You can bring them back at the same time. Lu Yuan stood up and said, All right, I'm also very interested in these new soul tools that you've created. I wonder if you've designed any new soul tools? Seeing that Lu Yuan had invited him to take a look at soul tools, Ning Fengji immediately agreed. He stood up and chuckled. I have 1 or 2 new ones. They're quite useful. Uncle Ning, you can evaluate them. Lu Yuan smiled and said. That's great. Hearing this, Ning Fengji's eyes brightened. Lu Yuan and the others began to stroll around the Dragon King Palace with Ning Fengji and the others. As they walked, they came to an empty square. On this square, there were many people fighting in pairs. Where is this? Ning Fengji asked curiously. This is the Dragon King Palace's martial arts practice field. There are disciples fighting each other here every day to accumulate combat experience. After all, a Soul Master's rank is important, but the most important thing is their combat ability. This is a place specially for them to train their combat ability. Lu Yuan said softly. Oh. Hearing this, Ning Fengji couldn't help but nod his head. He looked at the soul masters fighting in the field. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face upon seeing this, and he turned his gaze toward the sword Douluo, upon which a thought suddenly occurred to him. He looked at the sword Douluo and laughed softly. Senior sword, why don't we have a match here? Chapter 560. You want to spar with me? The sword Douluo was stunned when he heard Lu Yuan's words. Then, a strange look appeared on his face. I'm a rank 96 transcendent Douluo, and you're only rank 58. You want to spar with me? Even Ning Fengji, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zhuqing were shocked. What did Lu Yuan just say? He wants to spar with the sword Douluo? Isn't he a little too bold? Abuchi, Uncle Jian is a rank 96 transcendent Douluo. You can't beat him, Ning Fengji said softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. Ning Rongrong and the others also looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was strong, but there was still a big gap between him and the sword Douluo. They didn't want Lu Yuan to get hurt. After all, blades had no eyes. Even if the sword Douluo went easy on him, Lu Yuan would still be hurt. They didn't want that to happen. I know that. I'm not really going to spar with Elder Jian. I just want to spar with my sword and spear techniques. I won't use any soul skills. Lu Yuan smiled when he saw the worried looks on everyone's faces. You want to spar with your sword and spear techniques? Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they heard Lu Yuan's words. They really thought that Lu Yuan didn't know his place and wanted to spar with the sword Douluo. It turned out that he wanted to spar with his sword and spear techniques without using any soul power. In that case, it was fine. What do you think, Elder Jian? Lu Yuan smiled as he looked at the sword Douluo. The sword Douluo looked at Lu Yuan before he turned to Ning Fengji. Ning Fengji nodded gently at him. The sword Douluo was instantly enlightened, and he turned to Lu Yuan as he said in an indifferent voice, "All right, let's have a match here." "Thank you, Elder Jian. After this spar, I'll give you 2 longevity pills as compensation for your help," Lu Yuan said with a smile. Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo's eyes lit up when they heard that. They had heard of longevity pills for a long time, but they had never seen one before. Douluo Bo's advertisement was too good. He directly advertised it during the Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament, causing a sensation in Heaven Do Imperial City. It was hard for them not to know about it. Pills that could extend one's lifespan were extremely tempting to titled Douluo, especially those who were very old. Even someone like the sword Douluo, who had always been rather aloof and indifferent, couldn't ignore these pills. If it had been any other reward, he probably wouldn't have accepted it, but for something like the longevity pill, he really couldn't reject it. "Abuchi, are you for real?" Fengji asked hurriedly. "Of course," Lu Yuan said softly. Ning Fengji couldn't help but be delighted when he heard Lu Yuan's words. However, he wasn't an ordinary person. Lu Yuan must have his own reasons for suddenly proposing a duel with the sword Douluo. Otherwise, he wouldn't have offered 2 longevity pills as a reward. That was equivalent to giving the sword Douluo 10 years of his lifespan. This was too important for the 7 Treasures glazed sect. "Abuchi, do you want to ask Uncle Jian for some advice? If you do, I'm sure Uncle Jian will guide you without holding back," Ning Fengji said softly. The sword Douluo also nodded. If Lu Yuan really wanted his advice, even if he didn't mention the longevity pills, just the cooperation between the Dragon King Hall and the 7 Treasures glazed sect and Ning Rongrong's infatuation with Lu Yuan were enough for him to teach him. Of course, he wouldn't be biased with the longevity pills. "I knew I couldn't hide it from Uncle Ning." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "There are 2 main reasons why I want to spar with Senior Jian. The first reason is that we are both people who have comprehended spear intent and sword intent respectively. There are too few people in the continent who have comprehended intent. Now that I've seen Senior Jian, I naturally want to spar with him and verify my comprehension of intent. The second reason is because I am currently trying to create a spear technique, but I have reached a bottleneck. Therefore, I want Senior Jen to give me some pointers on how to nurture killing intent into the spear technique. After all, Senior Jen's 7 annihilation swordplay is famous throughout the continent. I see. Hearing this, the sword Douluo was enlightened. He looked at Lu Yuan and said softly, "Later, you can use it as you wish. If there is anything you don't understand, feel free to ask. As long as I know, I will answer it for you." "Thank you, Senior Jen. However, I think your sword technique may be more convincing than your explanation," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "Haha, kid, you are interesting." The sword Douluo understood Lu Yuan's words. Lu Yuan wanted him to go all out and not go easy on him. If Lu Yuan wanted to know, he would find out by himself through the sword technique. Thinking of this, the sword Douluo couldn't help but praise in his heart. This young man is really confident. He is sure that if he doesn't use his soul skills, he won't be able to defeat him. This kind of confidence is really in line with his usual style. "Senior Jen, please." Since he was going to spar with the sword Douluo, Lu Yuan naturally immediately ordered people to clear a large space in the sparring field. After knowing that their hall master was going to spar with the 7 treasures glazed sect's sword Douluo, all the members of the Dragon King Hall who were fighting in the sparring field immediately stopped fighting and prepared to watch the duel. Lu Yuan and the sword Douluo quickly walked to the empty field and stood facing each other. The distance between the two of them was less than 3 meters. Both of them were dressed in white, and they were standing with their backs straight. The sword Douluo's silver hair was neatly combed, and he was like a sharp sword that had been unsheathed. His aura was extremely sharp, and his eyes were resolute and persistent. Invisible sword chi emanated from his body, and he was a true swordsman. However, Lu Yuan was different. Although he was also dressed in white, Lu Yuan's long black hair was cascading over his shoulders. Lu Yuan's figure was tall and straight, and his long hair and white robes fluttered gently in the breeze. He was very elegant. However, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly focused, and his aura suddenly changed. His body was like a spear that held up the sky. An invisible and vigorous aura emanated from Lu Yuan's body, and it clashed with the sword Douluo's sharp aura. Interesting. Seeing this scene, the sword Douluo couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Lu Yuan's aura wasn't inferior to his at all. If his aura was sharp enough to destroy everything, then Lu Yuan's aura was vigorous and domineering enough to support heaven and earth. In terms of aura, Lu Yuan wasn't inferior to him at all. Chapter 561. Abuchi's aura is actually on par with Uncle Jen's. Ning Fengji couldn't help but exclaim in surprise when he saw the two of them colliding head-on and neither giving way to the other. There was a trace of disbelief in his tone. The sword Douluo was a rank 96 transcendent Douluo, and he had been immersed in the way of the sword for many years. His aura was sharp and fierce, and he was renowned even among titled Douluo. But now, his aura was actually being completely countered by Lu Yuan. Furthermore, judging from Lu Yuan's appearance, his vigorous aura wasn't inferior to the sword Douluo's at all. Ning Fengji couldn't believe it. Although aura wasn't the same as coercion because neither of them used soul power, the sword Douluo's sword intent was extremely sharp and oppressive. His sword intent was contained within his aura, and it made his aura exceptionally strong. However, Lu Yuan wasn't inferior to the sword Douluo at all. Not to mention his own aura, his understanding of spear intent was probably not inferior to the sword Douluo's. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to fight the sword Douluo to a draw. It was precisely because he knew this that Ning Fengji was even more astonished. Intent was originally very difficult to comprehend, and there were very few people on the Douluo continent who had comprehended intent. However, not only did Lu Yuan comprehend spear intent at such a young age, his attainments in spear intent weren't inferior to the sword Douluo's attainments in sword intent. This was a little terrifying. What a genius! Ning Fengji couldn't help but praise in his heart. So handsome. Looking at Lu Yuan, who was exuding a vigorous aura, Ning Rongrong's ice blue eyes couldn't help but sparkle. She looked like a love-struck fool. This man was really too handsome, and she couldn't help but be captivated by his charm. Zhu Zhuqing was also looking at Lu Yuan, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Her eyes were shining faintly. This man was always so dazzling. As for the rest of the spectators, they all opened their eyes wide and were ready to watch a good show. What a sharp sword intent, Senior Jian, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Your spear intent isn't bad either. I'm afraid it has already reached greater mastery. The sword Douluo said softly with a hint of emotion in his voice. He had cultivated bitterly for so many years to reach greater mastery of sword intent. He thought that there weren't many people in the world who could compare to him, but he didn't expect Lu Yuan to reach greater mastery of spear intent at only 14 years old. In terms of intent comprehension, he wasn't inferior to him at all. It was just a fluke. Lu Yuan smiled and said, Senior Jian, let's begin. The sword Douluo's voice sounded. The sword Douluo's SSSSSS golden dragon spears is. The sword SSSSSSSST. There was a difference of 38 ranks between the two of them, and the difference in soul power was so great that Lu Yuan found it very difficult to resist the sword Douluo's attack. The sword Douluo was also in a similar situation. Although his soul power was much more powerful than Lu Yuan's, he couldn't use his soul skills now. If he could use his soul skills, Lu Yuan would quickly be defeated by the sword Douluo. However, since he couldn't use his soul skills, the effect of his soul power wasn't as great as imagined. Just like in the City of Massacre, Lena and the others were able to kill soul sages as soul kings in the original work, because they couldn't use their soul skills. Otherwise, it would be very easy for soul sages to kill soul kings. The current situation was the same. Although the sword Douluo's soul power was much more powerful than Lu Yuan's, he couldn't use his soul skills. In fact, although his soul power was still effective, it wasn't that great. Furthermore, Lu Yuan's immense strength had reached 150,000 kilograms after Lu Yuan's further development. This was an extremely terrifying number, and it was enough to crush the sword Douluo. After all, the sword Douluo's forte was offense, and not strength. Therefore, the sword Douluo was forced back a few steps by Lu Yuan's immense strength. In their first clash, both parties were actually evenly matched. It could be said that Lu Yuan's strength made up for his lack of soul power to a certain extent. This was going to be a tough fight. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.